I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken, so it has been written, and it is done.
You have entered into a dimension of truth, where time does not exist and illusions are shattered. The journey of truth is intense. The journey of truth will set you free. Consider this a warning as you enter the dimension of truth uncompromised.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is March 12th. We have a great show planned for you tonight. We are continuing our series, The Real Pilgrims, The True Story of Immigrants Coming to America, Part 19. And our two main points of reference for this series are two books. The first one, White Trash, The 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg. The second one, They Were White and They Were Slaves, The Untold History of Enslavement of Whites in Early America by Michael A. Hoffman II. So we are going to continue. I thought last week we were going to finish up on Andrew Jackson's behind. Still got some more receipts I got to give on him. So very excited. And of course, y'all, it's so much jumping off. So we have a lot to get caught up with on the news and go ahead on with the fuckery. But before we get started, I want to send a shout out to all the family callers. I also want to send a shout out to the YouTube chat room. I want to send a shout out to Brother Scotty Saturn, Sis Lisa, Sis Woke Sister, and Sis Hope. And then just joining us, Mr. Tyrese. So peace and love to all of you strong in the YouTube chat room. And anyone that's on the line, you are also free to jump on YouTube as well. If you are looking at the Blog Talk promo, the YouTube link is embedded there, or you can just go to Truth Uncompromised YouTube page and join there as well, because the family, I'm telling y'all, they dropped some serious knowledge in the chat room. And not to mention, shout out to all the people that have been leaving comments on the YouTube videos. You all are knocking it out the park with a wealth of knowledge. So you all are much, much, much appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to bring on my co-host because we got a lot of stuff to go over tonight, family. So let me bring on Brother Sean, and then we're going to bring on Sis Sandra. So just a second. Okay, I said just a second, but here we go. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Wholeness and power, sis. I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well, my dear. I'm doing well. It's good to hear your voice.
Likewise. Wholeness and power to the family, too.
All right now. Okay, so let's bring on Sis Sandra. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Well, peace and love to you, Sister Rhonda. I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Good
Brother
to hear your
Sean,
voice, sis.
You're good to hear yours, too. And Brother Sean and the family, glad you guys are with
Wholeness
us.
and power, sis.
Need the knowledge. We do need
Indeed. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it because y'all know we got so much shit to cover tonight. All right, so we got to get right on. We'll go ahead on with the fuckery. Sis, you have anything you want to put something on?
Well, I just read the ticker, and Trump is mulling over putting quarantines on California and Washington. Travel.
Not D.C., but the Washington above Cali.
Yeah, Washington State. Restricting travel to 2 states. It's California and Washington State. And I said, oh my goodness. And also, I got so many things to talk about with this virus, but I want to bring in a little bit of esoteric stuff. Dabu 7 posted a video. My son gave it to me. And he was using, I guess, NASA's telescopes or something, or satellites, and there was an object floating through space. It had something going ahead of it, and something come behind. It was dragging something in the rear, and it looked like a wheel in the middle of a wheel. So I said, "Ooh," and so Ezekiel came to mind real quick.
Now, Ezekiel wheel.
Yeah, the Ezekiel wheel. We're supposed to be in the new age, golden age starting, the Aquarius age, starting the 2020 and 2021, and in the middle of it in 2025, right? So I went to Ezekiel chapter 1, and I read it about the wheel in the middle of the wheel. And do you know that he was describing crystal? And there is a cleansing, according to him, by this crystal wheel that these angels are pulling. So, and it's called beryl. He calls it beryl. But it's called beryllium in scientific stuff. And it's also like beryllium in Black Panther. And so I read the properties, and I can encourage people to look at them, but it's purging, it's blocking demons. This is what the crystal does. It blocks demons, it gives prosperity, it starts, youth. It just, everything is turned around according to this crystal, beryl or beryllium. Wow, isn't that interesting? Because the frequency is changing and everybody's getting wacky. This coronavirus has been predicted by Simpson's show and by Dean Koontz and Sylvia Brown. And they have videos out there on that where Dean Koontz wrote it in a book in 1981. So what they're doing is crashing the system that's already crashed. And
right.
because they put the stock market up way over the top of God knows what, 29,000 points, and now
Right.
they have to take it down because it's not real. So that's another thing they said about this coronavirus. They said it appeared out of Wuhan, China. That's what it says in that Dan Kutz or Dean Kutz book.
Dean Kutz, which he's a hell of a sci-fi writer, by the way. I was reading his shit back up in the day. But go ahead, sis.
Me too. So they you know that old song, you meant it for my good, but the devil meant it for my bad, and that just popped in my head because they, according to these documents, these books and these videos, they plan the release of this stuff, but unfortunately, it's a blowback, like I was talking about last week, and so it can't be stopped. They said there's no antibiotics until the host dies, and then it dies itself about a couple of minutes after that. And I'm like, wow, that's what Dean Kutz said in his book. And I said, whoa. They didn't too much talk about what Sylvia Brown said. She said the same thing that Dean Kutz said. And, Sylvia Brown was that psychic chick.
The psychic lady, right.
Yeah. So when I saw Dabu 7 with the crystal energy cleansing over the earth, I said, oh, we're going into that new age of crystal energy or evil, wickedness, and the ones that have invaded got to go. And that's
right.
I said, how interesting that it comes at this particular time. So that's
right.
what I have to say, and I hope I said it not too fast and didn't miss anything. But anyway, that was what I was really looking at.
Yeah, thanks, Scotty Saturn. Scotty said Dean Koontz predicted the 2020 new coronavirus outbreak. It was the 1981 novel, The Eyes of Darkness. So anybody that's interested in him, but he has some tight books in general. Now it's going to have to make me go back and revisit some shit that he wrote, because he's definitely all sci-fi. And to be quite honest, I think Dean is better than Stephen King. That's just me. I always thought his shit was tighter than Stephen King. But, all right, sis, so here's what I feel. And I'm glad you brought up about the Ezekiel wheel, because, and shout out before I forget to Brother Wendell, you and I, that's why I flex with you. You and I, for 2-3 years, we told motherfuckers to have you some packs of drugs, have your water, have you some motherfucking beans and rice. We said, and have your motherfucking medication on back order. We said that shit consistently for 2 years. Be prepared. Do not be dependent on the government to come save you. Woo, 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 this, that, and the third, 4, 5, 6, 7. So shout out to Brother Wendell. I know you probably somewhere eating your motherfucking beans and your greens and shit laughing, because we done said this shit for literally years. But back on to the Ezekiel wheel. That goes back to, if you want a decoding of the Ezekiel wheel, go to I can't remember if it came out of the Lost Book of Enki or the Book of Enoch. I want to say it came out of the Book of Enoch, that they break down what that Ezekiel wheel is actually about. So what dude is talking about, who did you say, not MB33, who did you say put the video up, sis, about Ezekiel's wheel?
Dabu 7.
Oh, yeah, Dabu 777. in, I want to say it's the Book of Enoch, it talks about gateways. Okay? Because what they're talking about is as outer space is actually not out of space as they're telling us it's out of space. It's just next dimensions. Now remember, I told y'all that if you draw a circle, and then you draw another circle within that circle, another circle within that circle, another circle within that circle, those represent the outer layers of Mother Earth via dimensions. And the layer that we are in, and I'm pretty sure probably the other outer layers, you draw different spokes within that circle. So it's going to look just like a motherfucking Ezekiel wheel. Those spokes represent a couple of things. Gateways, okay? Gateways to other dimensions, and also kind of ley lines on how the energy is transferred, okay? And then at the very middle of that circle within a circle within a circle within a circle is that energy center that they're calling Mount Meru, or what's the other thing that they call it? Inner Earth, whether or not you want to call it Inner Earth, Mount Meru, and all of that jazz. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I would highly recommend Martin Kinney's work. He's a brother out of the UK. He's the only fucking one that drew up a model of the circle around a circle around a circle with around a circle. Now, I saw the vision of the circle around a circle around a circle around a circle, but he actually scaled out the model and he built the motherfucking dimensional clock on it. It's tight. Go check out his work, okay? And then it's dimension portals that open up that represent the ages. That's what that Ezekiel wheel represents. So I think it was the Book of Enoch, y'all. So when Enoch and them was, quote, quote, shown, they were shown all these things as they were going up these different dimensional gates. They were able to see all of those things and see the pillars and see how the different dimensions shifted. Okay, so anyhow, I'll pause this in case you wanted to put something else on that.
I was just saying that was Shangri-La. It was the other thing.
Thank you, sis. Yes, Shangri-La is in the middle. Thank you, sis. Yes. Absolutely
so anyway,
correct.
That's what he was talking about. That he was talking about crystals in that book, first chapter of Enoch. And of course, there's a lot of power in crystals. So
right, because the crystals are the conductors.
Right.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna go back to Avatar. When they're walking on the ground in Avatar and it lights up, those are the crystals underneath that are lighting up. So crystals are conductors of energy. They are also living entities within themselves, and they hold universal codes, and especially mathematics, which is really just a universal code as well. So yes, absolutely, sis. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm pretty much finished with my go ahead with it.
Okay, no worries.
Except for I live in California, and so, and Dean Kuntz said that, it's manufactured in China, and, and They intend, somebody else had a video, they intend to crash this system. That's the whole purpose of it.
I 1010% agree with you. That's why I said a couple of weeks ago that virus is about more. I said it was, number one, about the economy, because China's economy had already crashed. And then number two, I said it's to mask the pole shift that is going on. Now, I do want to send another shout out to Brother Kalak, because he fucking said by 2020, it's going to get to the point where folks are not even going to be able to go outside because the UV radiation is going to be so high. So these are the things that they're trying to block from the people. Okay, that's why you're starting to see the system starting to shut down all over the country. Governors are canceling motherfucking events. They're shutting down the motherfucking schools. In Ohio, Sean, you know what I'm talking about. Did not the motherfucking governor say today, 3 weeks of school out?
Mm-hmm.
That shit is shut down. 3 weeks. And it may even go beyond the 3 weeks. Okay, so this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, because those polls, although we've been telling y'all for years that the polls were going to shift, way before the media started talking about it. And once the media started talking about it, that was your sign to know that the polls are rapidly shifting. The vibration of the planet is rapidly rising. So the quarantines are to save people from this UV radiation that is about to skyrocket. So what they are saying is a virus from this corona stuff, and again, shout out to Brother Kalai, because he told y'all in the etymology of the word corona, sun, it's related to the shift or that UV radiation coming from the pole shift from the atmosphere. Okay, so just get ready. I mean, it's nothing to fear if you're in tune. You know, you got your shit together. You've been working on what you need to work on. Again, I say if you have loved ones that require medication or whatever, get stocked up on their shit, this, that, and the third. You know, if you know you like to eat or whatever the case may be, have you some water and all of that jazz. Although now you're going to have a hell of a time getting that stuff because they're clearing out the motherfucking shelves big time. So that's what's really, really going on behind the scenes. So me personally, I expect the economy to collapse. And right before I jumped on the air, they're saying that the economy is in the state that it was at the 2008. And the feds are behind the scenes trying to pump money into it. So it is what it is. You're just experiencing or witnessing, rather, the collapse. And then on top of that, those that go to church every motherfucking week, if pastor talking about this, I'm just saying, because he should be. This is right the fuck up out of Revelation. Locusts, motherfucking flying around Saudi Arabia, earthquakes jumping off every motherfucking day, rivers running red, which is actually from the UV radiation, but that's a separate story, like I said. Is your pastor up in my fucking church talking about this? Isn't all that a part of the end of times? So why the spiritual folks had to say this shit? But yeah, it's the end of time. It's the end of a low vibrational age, shifting into a higher dimensional age, and you have to be in tune in order to continue and survive that. So, all right, I'll pause. All right, so Brother Sean, you have any? Go ahead on with the fuckery for the family.
Yeah. But see, that whole thing with this so-called pandemic and the quarantine, that's basically martial law. And they gonna use this time for mass arrest, because not only does it bind us, it binds the elite.
True.
Now,
True
if you
that.
pay attention to when all this started happening, after Trump beat everything they threw at him, then Trump's team started investigating the Democrats. Now we got all hell loose. All hell that broke loose. If you remember when Trump first got in, to the Department of Homeland Security, back then, they told people to stock up on shit, that something was going to happen. They didn't say when, but they said something was going to happen. So, I mean, the writing's been on the wall for the longest.
For a minute, yep.
I mean, people keep hollering they want change. But the old shit got to go. Some shit got to be destroyed.
Right.
And it's a matter of, where are you as far as you? Do you know who you are?
Exactly.
Do you know what you're supposed to be doing? They doing what they supposed to do. Is all they know how to do. Take and destroy. Right now, they taking from and destroying each other.
Yep.
And y'all sitting up panicking about it. I mean, if you look at it, they say like about 667,000 people a year, just in America, die from heart disease. That's what, about 6,000 people a day. Every minute and a half, somebody died from heart disease. That's not a pandemic. In 3 days, more people gonna die from heart disease than died from this whole corona outbreak.
Right.
Y'all know it's a patent for it. You know it's a patent for the cure. So what y'all worried for? Pay attention to what's going on. Stay focused on what you're supposed to be doing. Let them fight it out the way that they know how.
Right.
We didn't have long enough to study them. We know how they get down. We need to remember how we do shit.
Agreed.
But stop stressing about all that bullshit. It's nothing. Let them shut all that shit down. All that shit got to be shut down anyway.
Right.
Everything in every place that's being affected right now, you're going to find out it's tied into the pedophilia, the organ harvesting, the human trafficking, the stealing of melanin. Majority of these motherfuckers that's being took out by this probably take melatonin pills.
Probably.
That ain't just growing on trees.
True that.
So, I mean, there's only one source that they could be getting it from.
Right.
But I just don't see how people are all up in an uproar about basically a cold. Didn't they say that the old folks die?
Yeah.
Some children, 160 some.
That's if they actually died from the corona. They could have died from just the regular damn flu, and they just given numbers to that to make it seem worse than what it is.
Right.
Because if it's been on Lysol cans and this, that, and the other all this time, then it was a common goddamn germ that they've been exposed us to.
Right.
Right.
So now all of a sudden, because they decide to make it seem worse than it is, because they decide to use this opportunity to do some of the shit they wanted to do anyway. I mean, those people that they showed being killed in China, just shot down, houses set on fire, burned alive. We don't know if they was political dissidents. We don't know what type of beef they had with their government. There's just so much shit that's not told. But that's not what we should be worried about. If you know who
Totally
you are
agree.
and know what you're supposed to be doing, you'd already be prepared for all this.
True
You'd have
that.
your popcorn. You'd have your popcorn.
Yep, I did go to the store to re-up. Exactly. That's the only thing I had to go to the store for. I'm like, God damn it, I'm out of popcorn. So I had to stop and go get me some. And you should have seen people stocking up on food. And I was just shaking my head, standing in line with my motherfucking popcorn. I'm like, oh, well, it is what it is. So just pay attention. But it's definitely, it's cleanup time. Now folks are trying to clean up because they want to wipe out the lowest denominational vibration off of the planet, which it should have been fucking done. But the bigger issue is the shift. Okay, how are you prepared for the consciousness shift? Because at the end of the day, that does require work consciously. And this should show us, once again, to break the dependencies on the system every week. Brother Sean and I fucking say it. Every week we say it. They gave y'all a fucking test run when they shut the motherfucking government down. They was giving you a fucking clue then. Get your shit together. But no. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead on, sis.
I have one more thing to say. The governor of California has issued an order prohibiting more than 250 people at one gathering. So that's speaking to your martial law stuff. It's just like they had them laws that not 5 of us could stand on the corner or in a group.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he did. I said, what?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. Ain't none of this shit new to us that have been saying it for years. Those of us that have had visions, those of us that have had dreams, we saw this shit. We told y'all this shit for years. So now it's here. Now it's here. It is what it is. And shout out to Purple Pill. Damn, I wish you could be in the chat tonight on the Blog Talk chat. And shout out to Fly Catch. So, all right. So, very, very good points. All right, y'all. Here we go. Now, I'm minding my business. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Yeah, but if they do implement the 4-week quarantine that they're talking about, if you don't have the necessary items that you need, that could be all bad, especially if it go beyond a month.
Yep.
But also why everybody talking about food, water, and tissue, you stocked up on your ammo? I mean, how many people actually went and stocked back up after New Year's, after you sat up there and shot all your shit off like a dumbass?
Ooh.
Now, the people that ain't prepared, it might be the motherfuckers coming to knock on your door. And probably the motherfucker right next door. Motherfucker that look just like you.
Exactly.
9 times out of 10 ain't prepared for nothing but to try and take your shit. But I digress at this point.
Exactly. I feel you. I feel you. I totally feel you. Ooh, Purple Pill goes. Purple, you always dropping something. 4 weeks equals 28 days. Oh, but you know what happens in between the motherfucking 4 weeks though, y'all? Think about it. Isn't that the New Year? Doesn't the real New Year happen in between those 4 weeks? Okay, I'm just saying. So don't the real 2020 happens within those 4 weeks? Okay then. Okay.
And then they're gonna be talking about forced vaccinations.
Yeah. It's getting ready to be real interesting, and like I said, I'll just continue to have my popcorn. Flycatch goes, trust the plan, and it's all coming together. Once a national state of emergency is declared, then the numbers of the coup can be arrested. It is all about timing, and the time is near. Touche. Purple Pill 2020, AKMMXX. Child, this shit. Woo, baby, this shit. I don't think they attempted to write a movie, many movies, plural, about this. I don't even think they could have accurately captured the shit that's about to jump off, because just what we're seeing now with the shutdowns and this and that, that's all planned. They can't plan what the fuck mama gonna shake off. They can't motherfucking plan that. And think about all of the mud flood communities. Yeah, mud flood communities. That shit is re-happening right now. But they don't show that part. How all over the world, the mud is just collapsing shit. They ain't showing that. So they have not depicted truly what's going to go on, because they don't know. They can only speculate on what ancient texts have left behind, or some of their quote quote remote viewers. But at the end of the day, Mother Earth, I keep telling y'all, she has the last fucking word. And they ain't seen nothing yet. They ain't seen it yet. So All right. So I'm minding my business. La 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 tra la la. So sis Tasha she put up a video with a brother, and they were talking about this article about slave ships. And damn, forgive me, y'all, for not having the exact name of the video, but just go to Sister Tasha Shee's YouTube. So XI last name, Tasha first. Go to her YouTube channel. They copied, this came out of the motherfucking Washington Post. Came across my motherfucking feed. And I guess they did it in February 19th, but the shit resurfaced again, pulling the exact same information that she had just talked about. What we get wrong about the roots of slavery in America, how we remember the past shapes that fight for racial justice today. Now, this is out of the Washington Post. Now, this originally came out February 19th last year. The shit came back across the post, and I forgot who reposted the motherfucking article yesterday. For hundreds of years, Sir George Yeardley, the governor of the fledgling colony of Virginia, bought 20 and odd Negroes from an English pirate named John Jope, having attacked a Portuguese slave ship on its way to Mexico. Technically a privateer or a government-sponsored pirate, found 350 enslaved Angolians chained inside the fat, overcrowded ship. Jope, or I don't know if it's Jope, took as many Anglos as he could, then made his way to Hampton, Virginia, where Yeardley bought several of them, starved for labor. Yeardley did not think twice about putting these enslaved Africans to work alongside, and we know he lied about that African stuff, but I'm going to go into, tie it into what Sis Tasha, she went to the original source that his motherfucking ass is quoting. And this is why it's important for us to do your own research and dig into receipts that people are giving you your damn self, okay? Because he's popping off here talking about some Angola African slaves when the article that he quoted said the opposite. It said that those slaves were coming from port to port within the Americas. But anyhow, but here's the part that he motherfucking gonna bring up. Now remember, he put this shit out last year, February. Yeardley did not think twice about putting these enslaved Africans to work alongside the colony's many white indentured servants. Again, this is coming out of the fucking Washington Post, talking about some white indentured servants. The arrival of those Angolans in 1619 has long served as the starting point of African American history, even racism itself. This year, the 400-year anniversary of their arrival, the date shows no sign of losing its prominence. Across the country, synopses are being held, exhibits planned, and books, or expositions rather, planned and books published. But overemphasizing the date might, in fact, be damaging to today's fight for racial justice. Starting in 1619 means for grounding slavery and white dominance, eclipsing the story of how Africans, both on the continent and the Americas, successfully resisted Europeans from the start. It also suggested certain timeliness to anti-black prejudice when, in fact, racism developed over time and was as much a consequence of slavery as it was a cause of it. Finally, placing the origins of slavery in the South not only minimizes racism's reach, as if the South had a monopoly on slavery and its justification, racism, but also devalues the importance of African and the African diaspora to black history. In short, overemphasizing 1619 might cause us to forget that racism was made by human beings and can be unmade by them too. Okay, I'm trying to get to the part where Sis Tasha brought the motherfucking receipts. Here it goes. The year 1619 plays an outsized role in our historical memory, in part because it is the first year that the historians have a definitive records of Africans coming to an English colony in North America. Now, this is where he telling a bold motherfucking lie. All right? So I'm going to tell y'all, press, this shit is over with you lying, boo-boo. We got the fucking receipts. Literally, we got the receipts. So ain't no need y'all lying, because every motherfucking article you put out, we gonna bring the receipts on that ass. Now, the sister had literally just posted a video reading the material from Michael Gaskell's information. All right? Now, before I even got this article, based on Sister Tasha's video, I went and pulled the motherfucking article and was going to read an excerpt from it my goddamn self. All right? Now, this article resurfaced again, and here he twisted the motherfucking research that this man has done. But anyway, Africans were on the continent long before then. In 1526, for example, several enslaved Africans took part in a Spanish expedition in what is now South Carolina. They soon rebelled, prevented the Spanish from founding a colony, as the historian Michael Gaskell recently recounted. Okay, so let me see if I can read through the rest of this shit, because he was pissing me off. All right. Yeah, I got to read it, unfortunately. Shit. The experience of the Angolians also differed marked from the lives of the most enslaved Black Americans in the centuries to come. The English lacked experience with plantation slavery, and the ambiguities of slavery legalities enabled several of the Africans to negotiate for their freedom within a few years. So that didn't even make sense what the fuck he done said. They didn't have, the English didn't have experience in plantation slavery, so Africans negotiated their freedom. That don't make sense. That totally does not make sense what the fuck he said. So I know you lying right there, blood. But anyway, white indentured servants also vastly outnumbered. You did fucking tell the truth on that. White indentured servants also vastly outnumbered the enslaved Africans. So in his fucking defense, he cleaned it up, who made up just 3.5% of the colony's population. It was not until the turn of the 18th century that Virginia became the kind of slave society we remember today, with 40% of its population enslaved. Absolutely. That is because by then, the indigenous folks who you're calling Africans or Black or Negro became prisoners of war or slaves. Okay? But he did get correct. Just like we've been telling you, In the Black Nobility series, just like we're telling you in this series, that the indentured servants outnumber the Africans. All right. It's also deeply misleading to begin the story of racial slavery in British North America. In truth, the British were latecomers. By the time the British established their first successful colony in Virginia, 500,000 enslaved Africans had already been forced to work on Brazilian sugar plantations or in silver mines of Peru and Mexico. Okay, so again, that's some bullshit. It wasn't no 500,000 enslaved Africans. It was the indigenous folks of those lands, of those American lands. Very little Africans from a percentage point became slaves. They enslaved the indigenous population already there. All right? And the indentured servants that they brought over, which when you hear indentured servants, think of white folks. And the Europeans, the Irish, and the English that they motherfucking put over here as well under worker contracts or that was coming up out of jail, whatever the case may be. All right. The fact that the first 20 Angolians were taken from a Portuguese slave ship destined for Mexico speak volumes. Yeah, bruh. What speaks volumes to me is the motherfucking number 20. What happened to the fucking millions that you bitches keep talking about? Every time you bring up a goddamn slave ship that's being documented, it's 10 people, 5 people. Where are the fucking millions that you speak of? You can't prove it. Because the millions are the ones that are indigenous to the land. So get the fuck out of here with that. If you're going to tell it, goddammit, tell it all. Because every time you come with half truth, we going to tear your ass up. Every time you put some piece of shit, half-ass work out of here, we going to tear this shit down. So get it right. All right, so the pioneers of racial slavery were the Portuguese and Spanish, who had begun to seize Africans from the West Central Africa in the mid-1400s and established successful plantation work by enslaved Africans in places like Canary Islands. Whatever. Let me see, whatever. Okay, so now, to begin, the story of Black America in 1619 also risked perpetuating the myth of Black powerlessness. African leaders willingly sold slaves to Europeans, but they were neither passive victims nor ruthless tyrants. Now, I'm going to give you that, but you got to tell the whole motherfucking truth. They were selling white folks. Tell the fucking truth. Most of those African kingdoms were selling mostly white fucking folks. They were the first cargo. Again, if you're going to tell it, tell the shit fucking right. Most African leaders refused to sell slaves from their own kingdom and demanded high prices and elaborate diplomacy. All right, blood. So you fucking contradicted yourself. How could millions of African slaves hit the fucking continent if they were too fucking expensive? Where the white indentured servants, where you sold their work contracts, were a hell of a lot cheaper, And then it was also cheaper after you defeated the indigenous people on their land to either put them under the same indentured contracts or they were prisoners of war. So again, if you're gonna fucking tell it right. Because when you don't, we're coming for you. Indeed, the African perspective has traditionally been left out of the 1619 story. You're absolutely right. You know why? Because it tells the story of the white indentured servants. Okay, don't fucking play with me. You know the Moors were ruling and were powerful and were selling white folk into bondage. Many of those first Angolians probably came from the province of Ndongo, where the Portuguese had recently launched an invasive war. Yeah. Okay, I'm not even reading that bullshit. I'm just trying to pick out the rest of the meat. Let's see if there's any more meat to be picked. Okay, he said, unlike the Portuguese, the English originally had little interest in the African slave trade. When the British began to colonize what remained of the Caribbean and North America, they initially hoped to replicate the silver mining success of the Spanish or the fur trade of the French. All right. Now we already know it's been documented that when the fur trading was going on in this land, it was between the indigenous people of this land. All right, so in Virginia, neither plan came to fruition. And we talked about, thanks to white trash, the 400-year untold history of class in America, how the Virginia colony was a hot mess. In Virginia, neither plan came to fruition, so they took the knowledge Native Americans gave them about tobacco cultivation, and in the 1620s began to lure hundreds of poor Englishmen desperate enough to sell themselves into 7-year contracts, indentures, in the hope that at the end of their service, they'll be given land. Okay, so you telling the truth about that. Let's back up to these motherfucking Native Americans that gave them knowledge about tobacco cultivation. Don't fucking play with me, because all of the statues on the face of tobacco are copper-colored people. So if you're going to tell it, tell the shit right. All right? And most of them were black, if you want to say that. Okay? So, slavery may have been rare in England, but that was not because of moral scruples. Throughout the 15th and 16th century, the English experienced slavery primarily as slaves, not enslavers. English mariners often were captured and enslaved by Catholic and Islamic slave raiders roaming the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so now, see, let me tell you something. You got to get up pretty motherfucking early in the morning to fool me. And bitch, you can't get up that early. So I done already said that you know the Moors was ruling. I already said that you know that the Moors was putting white people up into slavery. And then you turns around and say exactly what the fuck I just said. Okay? All right, so that's the end of that. I'm not going to read anymore because he was jumping all over the motherfucking place. So that was off of the Washington Post. What we got wrong about the roots of slavery in America. That came out February 19, 2019. He's calling himself, putting this article out, admitting that white folks had indentured servant contracts. Okay? What he is still lying about is who was really the Indians, and who was really enslaving who. It wasn't Africans enslaving their own. No. In order for an African to enslave their own, you had to pay a premium price. That's why it was very little Africans actually enslaved. It was white cargo that was being enslaved massively by the Moors. Okay? The rest of the quote, quote, Negro slaves that the millions they talk about are the indigenous people of the lands in the Americas. All right? So I'll pause, Brother Sean and Sis, in case you want to put something on that. Absolutely, Scotty. That was the Barbary Wars. Yeah, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. They be pissing me the fuck off, thinking I know that it's not to me personally, but that shit pisses me the fuck off. I'm sorry. Go ahead on, Brother Sean.
Yeah, that was around the time when one of the senators or something had said something about, that white folks had been slaves and that they would be due reparations too.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So, of course, he's going to leave out who the original people are. We supposed to know that. He trying to look out for his people. He trying to tell them.
True that. Touche.
I mean, so, we just know how to sift through it, and we know what time it is. But he trying to wake his people up. And to me,
touche.
There's nothing wrong with them knowing where they from. And all this anger and with all these weapons and shit they got trying to fight for America. You can go fight for your own shit.
True that.
Whatever cave it was or whatever lab it was created in, go fight for that shit.
Touche.
You got to find out who you are in order to do that, though.
Exactly.
While y'all sitting up trying to claim to be this, that, or the other, or feel as though you have a sense of entitlement to anything over here. You need to find out who you really are, because
indeed,
these senses refer to y'all too. Y'all got to be specific about who you are and where the fuck you come from too.
That is true.
So y'all could put some fuck shit on there if you want to. But I mean, your time up anyway. I just figured, you try and get as much mercy as you can. Try and do as much right as you can. Because it's over. I mean, a lot of y'all religious, y'all white folk. It's a different type of religion, but, y'all being y'all little shit. But y'all always talking about repent. You always want a nigga to repent. You always want a nigga to feel sorry for something he didn't say and did. Right. Show us how it's done. Show us how it's done. Repent real good. Put it on YouTube, put it on World Star, all that shit. Show us how you repent, white folk. I'm done.
All right, I'm right. Indeed. Scotty Saturn said white African Slavs. Because slaves is a derivative from Slavs. And, as we have investigated in the past, that you can trace that Caucasian DNA back to the coast of Africa. So everything has literally been reversed. Okay? You can literally go back to ancient maps, and there's actually a book. I'll get the name for you all, that depicts back in the 1500s in Africa, whites being in Africa and having kingdoms, and the Moors being in Africa, woo, woo, woo. So, I mean, it is what it is. Folks can keep, playing games with themselves, but it is what it is. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
The problem is that everybody was out of Africa, born in Africa. First of all, that's the stage they set, and they said that everybody was from Africa, which is not true. So when they set that stage, that gives everybody the idea that they came over, or they were here first, and then they brought us. And so when they keep saying Africa, 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 they're training our children that everybody started in Africa. And that is what makes this impression. I see so many people celebrating their African roots that are melanated. I'm like, wait a minute, baby. They're just lying to you. So, and then you have that Out of Africa movie. They set it that way. And then they said that in 2012 that everybody that wasn't from Africa were Neanderthals. So they keep changing this scenario of what Africa really generated. And I think that's where all the misunderstanding comes from. And our people are falling from the fact that everything that was black was in Africa, or dark-skinned, melanated, was in Africa, and that's not truth. And so they can't change it in a Washington Post, because then they'll start telling the truth how much of squatters and thieves that they are. Because when you walk into, I asked a friend of mine, if you had a ring, and you know that was your ring, and somebody stole that ring 10 years ago out of your house, is that still your ring when you see it? She said, oh, no. I said, you don't think that's your ring when you see it on somebody else's hand, and it was yours in the beginning? It's the same way with our land. This has been ours. They took it, and it's still ours. They don't want us to have it. They're coming up with all these viruses and all that kind of stuff, and it's going to hit everybody. Nobody's spared, because a pandemic means all races of people, and that's not true either. So, maybe their definition of pandemic means that, but this corona is not us. That's their male. They're human, and it says it in Dane Coote's book. For all humans, we're plant-based. Humans is a mixture of something, the hue and the man. So whatever they mix them with, that's the part that's probably taking that up. But he did say also that animals are not going to get it in his book, and that's not true, because dogs get it, cows get it, pigs get it. So I'm looking at the fact the human is not man like we are. So anyway, that's the way I see they're distorting these things by saying, first of all, putting us as Africans, and keep telling us we're Africans, and our own leaders keep telling us over and over, African American, There's no such thing. You can't be an African and an American. Because the Constitution says you can't be, if you're born in Africa, and that goes for these white folks now. If you're born in Africa, you cannot ever be an American.
Right.
So they gotta say that. Otherwise, they're not American.
U.S. citizens.
Yeah, U.S. citizens.
U.S. citizens. And that's what they're trying to do. They're changing the scenario now and said, you're a U.S. citizen. U.S. citizen. You're part of the corporate construct, as you say, brother.
Right.
John.
Right.
What they made up, because they are out of Africa. So when they say those words, it's like brainwashing. They got mind control over us.
Well, they don't have mind control over me, but okay, go ahead.
But you know.
Yeah. No, I just want to clear that up. I just want to make sure the ethers heard that shit motherfucking correctly. It ain't over me, but go ahead, sis.
You know, that's a mind control construct. If you say the lie long enough, somebody's about to believe it. And so that's what they're doing. And our leaders,
not my leaders, but go ahead.
But I'm just being facetious. These people who are telling us to go out and vote for them, you're not an American. You're on the U.S. construct to vote for them. You're an American indigenous person. So I don't understand why we keep not understanding we're not part of the U.S. corporation. And if they don't believe it's a corporation, then they need to look it up. So that's all I got to say.
Indeed. And I just want to add on that again. I'm going to say it is not their responsibility to teach you a goddamn thing. It is not their responsibility to tell you who the fuck you are. So if you're falling for that, shame on you. It is your responsibility to know who you are and to teach you and yours who you are. So shame on you. It's no excuse in this day and age to be in the condition of not knowing. At this point, it is you are willingly not wanting to know. And that's your business. Go for it. But all I'm saying for me and mine, you come in my face with that bullshit, I'm going to hand you your ass every time. So real quick, Scotty Saturn goes, the whole Darth Vader thing, they know the Moors are their father. Absolutely. The Moors are Caucasians' God because they were all together in Africa. The Moors put Caucasians on. The Moors educated Caucasians. The Moors and Caucasians got the motherfucking battling. Absolutely, Scotty Saturn.
It is.
So sure, the Caucasians hide the history of the Moors. Absolutely, they hide that history. So I'm sorry. Go ahead on, Brother Sean.
But they've been trying to tie everything back to Africa. You know, with the monkey remains that they found, and they said that all life, all quote-unquote human life, came from her. And that's why they sit up and try and say we're all one. I mean,
yep.
Where did all these different bloodlines come from if we all came from one monkey?
Right.
But I mean, people still believe that type of bullshit, though.
Yeah, well, they can believe whatever they want to believe, and that's why I say, and I say again, go tell that to the motherfucking plasma. I personally, I don't want to hear the shit. Go stand out there and tell that to the plasma and the UV motherfucking radiation.
Oh, yeah.
I personally don't want to hear it. And so just real quick, Sis Hope goes, some of the melanated people are from Africa, but we're not the same people. Absolutely. And then Mr. Tyrese 21 goes, actually, some of us American, aka European, plus Indian, aka indigenous. Absolutely. To both of you all. That's the true story. So, I guess I was a little rough on the Washington motherfucking Post man. But because I get your point, Brother Shine. He's just looking out, trying to, tell his people what's up. All right, so let me bring on Brother 832. Yeah, I better bring you on now before you get cut off, before we get deep into the material. So let me bring on Brother 832. Peace and love, brother.
Sandra, my sisters from other misters. Feathers up.
Feathers up, brother.
Feathers up.
Snakes of America down. Sean, my brother from another mother, sitting on Mount Olympus, throwing them black lightning bolts down tonight.
Indeed, bro.
You reinvigorated me on Avatar. I didn't go and see it, which I will do it again, but I stumbled on Altered Carbon. Have either of you seen that or hip to that
sir.
one?
Yes, sir.
Yep, I'm hip to it. Yep, I haven't seen the new season yet.
Yeah, and the new season has transformed into the brother that's the Falcon from Captain America. Anthony
Mackie. Yeah, yep.
One symbolic thing I wanted to bring up was the ancient trees. You've seen the first season?
Yes. I don't think I got through the first season. Yeah.
There is, and by the way, the heroine, I guess if you will, the superhero that they portray as the rebel leader, was the sister out of Hamilton, Renee Elise Goldsberry. She plays the central figure that is, that motivates the revolution based on us using our consciousness in a format that they call stacks that goes at the base of the skull and the medulla oblongata, and they refer to as the human body as the sleeve, meaning, the skin suit is reusable. But the consciousness is put inside basically an alloy that is a construct, similar to the Matrix. So really, it's like a combination of the Matrix and Avatar. But there was three, I call them the three categories of people, if you will. There are the founders, the elders, and the ancients. So let's, use that to today with the Avatar context of who are these crazed white colonizing invaders that went to the planet Pandora, that were excavating it for what they call unobtainium. These people aren't even creative, even in the so-called fantastical imaginary worlds that they think of. That substance that was so rare they called unobtainium, that it floated kind of like vibranium in Wakanda. But the ancient trees, like you keep referencing, where they had that their root system was the interconnectivity throughout the planet, kind of like the synapses in our brain. All right. In Altered Carbon, they had the same thing. Well, they had a similar concept of where these ancient trees with a light type substance, just like was in Avatar. You notice when you got nightfall and you saw that luminescence and those things that were hanging down like weeping willow from the trees, they looked like dreadlocks. Yep. And the actual people had their dreadlocks. They would intertwine with those. Hard to describe what it is, but they were like silicone type things that were draping down from the trees. And they would also get in a circle, right? And they would go into a trance, right? Which we call, meditating or whatever you want to describe it as. In the so-called religious construct that we have today. But in Altered Carbon, the elders were inside the tree, so to speak. Their consciousness. But when they showed them the physical manifestation, do you remember the movie Mimic? You ever seen the movie Mimic? It was a kind of like a sci-fi horror flick where it looked like a gigantic insect-type alien being that was terrorizing people in the subways of New York or whatever. But anyhow, that's how they portrayed it.
Yeah, I'm hip to it, bro. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, Sean. They portrayed the elder as some massive-looking like insect thing. Okay? But they still haven't gotten to who are the ancients. When they got to this planet, the planet had all of these orbiting satellites that the founders, I'm using air quotes, the fucking founders who came there, excavated the ancient archaeological digs, tore the shit up, right, Sean? Got this alloy, and the alloy, believe it or not, the sister, kind of like Sophia Stewart with the Matrix, the sister created the technology called the stacks that captured the human consciousness. But what drove her to do it, as a child, she dreamed she wanted to see the stars. In other words, kind of like trying to look out into the universe. They then took her technology, her invention, and turned it into the stacks concept that basically encapsulated the human consciousness and made them slaves in a different fashion. Because the basis was they want to live for immortality. Okay? They need to live. For the poor people in the society, obviously you ain't got no money. You had to accept whatever body was given you. So if you could have been an old person, you might end up in a child's party. If you were a child, you might end up in an adult's body. You know? But they kept recycling the consciousness in the bodies that they call sleeves. So that the physical manifestation, what we walk around in, is literally a vehicle or a vessel that is disposable. Now, the wealthy people, they paid to have their genetic material cloned, so they kept coming back in their own version of their physical presence. However, sometimes they would surreptitiously slip off into other, sleeves or bodies, if you will. Use them for, nefarious things, have the body destroyed, killed off, whatever, but they could always take their consciousness because they were wealthy and back it up. Okay, saying all that to say, what are we seeing played out in front of us with this, what did the president call it, coronavirus hoax? Now, be fair, he didn't say the virus itself was a hoax. His spin is Democrats and the media are weaponizing and politicizing this outbreak. That is what he's describing as hoax. But the actual virus itself, like Sean said, it is in the family of the cold and flu viruses. It's not new. What is novel, notice in science, they don't say new, they say novel. What is novel about this strain, which I still have yet to have people to actively explain it to me, but this is what I'm repeating, what they, as you say, Rhonda, who is they, what they report, which is the mainstream media,
right,
is that in medical terms, a person is asymptomatic. All that means is you don't show signs of being ill. Well, while one is asymptomatic for up to 2 weeks, you are contagious. Now, I'm a bit disturbed about this because people don't understand what being contagious means, because it's two different things. Viruses aren't really gathered from human to human or from animal species to human. It doesn't work like that. The only way that viruses are put from one body to another body is through injection. A la the only reason why we have a flu vaccine is what? We have a live virus, right?
Right.
At some fashion, very minuscule, but enough for triggering the human body to create antigens, which is the reaction to having a foreign object injected into your body. That is how vaccines work. I don't care what the vaccine is. People are not told that because, well, how are you going to react if they're actually giving you the disease to jumpstart your body to defend against the disease, correct? Because the human body doesn't, on average, have these antigens and these antibodies in your system. The next thing that people are ignorant about, which frustrates the hell out of me, is thinking you can eat some contaminated meat, bat, monkey, dog, whatever. Because the human digestive system, the acidic nature and the kinds of enzymes that are in the body kills it all. It doesn't survive the average digestion process. Now, when you start talking about people who are compromised, see, that's the key here that folks don't pay attention to. The vast majority of the deaths are people over 60, over 70, over 80. Italy, in particular, ironically, is demographically the oldest population in what we call Europe or the EU.
Right.
The average age of the people that have died in Italy is 81. The average deaths in China are plus 70 and higher.
That makes sense.
People aren't hearing that. Well, but they're not hearing that. All they're hearing is somebody caught something, somebody passes something on. Don't sneeze on me. When you already know, if you bother to have two brain cells working, the influenza virus alone is killing between 35 and 60,000 Americans as we speak right now during the cold and flu season. What did we shut down for the flu? Nothing. We actually send babies with runny nose to school every day.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing is being shut down for the flu. Now, for the politics of what the coronavirus is, because it is novel. That's the interesting thing, because it is new, because it has been new, just like the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, in the 80s became new. Why did it become new? Because most average people who are dumbed down in this population, who, as you say, on a regular basis are operating at a lower vibration frequency, do not know that the AIDS so-called disease was spliced bovine and sheep visnovirus. First and foremost, the entire history of all human beings do not have RNA or retroviruses. None. Not before, not even now. Human beings do not have retroviruses. So where the fuck do they come from? The simple explanation is they come out from a lab, maybe just like these people. Like, we're still trying to figure out, where did these colonizing, invading Burberry pirates, as brothers, Scotty Saturn said, or any of these other invading, colonizing foreign substances, because what is a virus? A foreign substance invading a healthy human body. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. Now, since they have invaded us in 1492, how healthy is our landmass that we call North America? Or I should say that we have let others identify and label as North America.
North America,
what is the current condition of this landmass? What is the massive climate conditions that are being affected? What is the overall polluting space for this toxic white supremacist capitalism that has been going on unending, unchallenged, and it was created by taking us, our ancestral autochthonous aboriginal inhabitants, taking their humanity and making it what? A commodity? So you think I give a fuck that the stock market has crashed back down into 21,000, 20,000 territory today?
Exactly.
You think I give a shit of the place that's called Wall Street when it was actually built as an auction block called The Wall? That's what it actually was called when it was first created. And underneath the stock market is the original slave auction block to this very day. You think anybody gives a shit about that?
Nope.
And all of the slave, so-called, I'm using air quotes, because we know that those people who were on their own land were invaded by a foreign virus. That means that they were under assault. They had warfare brought to their doorstep. So by definition, that makes you a prisoner of war. And all of that ancestral death is literally buried under what we call Manhattan Island today. Just using that one example. Just that one example, my sister. Do you think maybe, possibly, I'm using this to bring out the analogy of what Altered Carbon was talking about in this series. These ancient people, these elders who were ignored, and these founding Caucasoid alien invaders who came to this planet, who, by the way, they named it after themselves, Harlan's World. So we still don't even know, once you go to the series, we don't know the name of the planet that's called by the elders and the original people. We don't know who the ancients are. Sound familiar? Like who we call in the Native American or the American Indians today. We don't know the actual language that they spoke in. And we don't respect the technology that was there, that they buried and have built their civilization on top of. So now, what's happening as we speak, and we're reporting it almost every day and every week in the news. Sinkholes.
Yep.
Shifting tectonic plates, which we call earthquakes.
Yep.
Massive tsunamis. Rising, not only rising sea levels because of the polar caps melting, of course, on one end or the other, which they still disregard as supposed climate change. And the tsunami effect of what? Revulsion against the pollution in the massive ocean. Have you seen these islands? Islands of fucking garbage. Islands of garbage in the ocean.
Yep.
Who has put this filth on our body? Because Mama Earth is a body, as you say.
That's right.
Is a living organism. And we are toxic. We are, when I'm not putting myself in that, I'm saying we are a society that we are oppressed by, that we have very little power. It doesn't mean we don't have power. It's power we're giving away every day by rationalizing, allowing this foreign invading virus called white supremacy, called Caucasianism, call it whatever you want to call it. Again, like they said, the last call for alcohol, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here.
Out of here.
And I yield.
Wow. Thank you, brother. Thank you once again. Peace and love, brother 832. That was brother 832 throwing something on it as usual. Real quick, Nazim Ali said, everywhere, I'm a plumber, and the grounds are opening up everywhere. Pipes and houses are shifting like crazy. There you have it. We told you. You are literally witnessing a planetary pole shift. What folks in church every week calling the rapture. You're literally witnessing it. You're witnessing a new age being birthed. Indeed. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead on, sis. Did you have something you wanted to put on it?
No, it's a lot of stuff happening.
I know.
Happen, you know.
I know.
You know, I mean, they don't fight it. And Dabu 7, he says, now you guys sitting there and you see this. Why do you think they putting these space bases in space? You think they just putting them there? And because they know there's something coming.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Also, you got to think about the fact that the economic system has to crash, and what's on the stock market is us, the stocks and bonds that they created off of us.
That's true.
So if those are crashing, it's either they cashing in off the people that's done already kicked the bucket, certain people that they expect to, and then there's the people who they know from a frequency level have awakened and removed themselves from the system.
Tell it.
On the soul level, it ain't got shit to do with paperwork. The paperwork is to bind your soul. You can remove your soul out that contract without no fucking paperwork. That's what you're trying to free, ultimately. Because like he was saying about altered carbon, we've been swapping sleeves for millions of years.
Exactly.
If not billions. And yet, we still ain't mastered this state-of-the-art technology that they've been trying to replicate a few thousands of years of being here.
Yep.
We got the ultimate machine. You're in it. You chose it.
You're in it. That's right.
The very body that you're in, you chose that particular model. And you ain't even bothered to go and look at the instruction manual. You don't even know what all it do. You just like the way it looks. Not one of y'all could tell me that y'all don't like the way you look. I ain't saying you conceded or nothing like that. But,
yeah, you would get cussed plumb the fuck out. But go ahead.
But if you love yourself, then you love how you look. You're not trying to change who you are. The way that you're built and everything, your hair, everything, serves a specific purpose.
Right.
And you don't even know what that is. You didn't done this, you didn't done that, all because society told you to.
Yep.
But you never took the time out to find out what it is you really can and are supposed to do.
Right.
Knowing who you are goes well beyond any paperwork or any concept that we've been taught as prisoners of war. You still don't know who and what you are in true freedom, embracing every aspect of yourself. There's so many levels to this. We still in damn preschool.
Shit.
Well, you know what I'm saying on the whole.
Yeah, when you're supposed to be a goddamn doctorate level at this point. And shout out to Dr. Dilbert Blair. He said that shit for years before he transitioned. He said that it's going to be like you going from kindergarten to graduate school very rapidly. That's exactly what the man said before he transitioned. And folk still ain't got the shit together yet. Because they running on goddamn Windows 95. What the fuck? You supposed to even be past Windows. What the fuck Windows out now? Shit, y'all know what I'm trying to say.
10.
You whatever the fuck version is out now. You're supposed to be beyond that shit. And you still running on Windows 95? Really? Really? And we keep telling you that as Mother Earth's poles shift, she's cleaning up, getting her motherfucking house in order. Your consciousness / vibration must match that. I don't give a fuck what skin suit you in. No matter how melanated your skin suit is. Now, you have a better advantage because you have a melanated skin suit. But make no fucking mistake about it. Your vibration / consciousness must match hers. Or it's ass out.
Soul too.
That, well, yeah, of course, that. Okay? You cannot take. Exactly. It's plenty of melanated skin suits. Absolutely. You cannot take any of today's programs and run it on fucking Windows 95. It don't work that way. Your consciousness was supposed to be elevated. You are supposed to be creating, not fucking waiting for stuff to happen. You're supposed to be creating the future. All right? So, very good points. Very, 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 very good points. Okay, this is real quick. This is going into, and again, this is a shout out to Sister Tasha She. Go look at her latest video talking about this. I literally, all I did after that video, I went and pulled the excerpt she was referencing. It's the same excerpt that dude up out of the Washington Post article was talking about, and very good point, Brother Sean. He was trying to point out to his motherfucking people that you were enslaved, so get yours on. So I don't even want to take that away from the man. I'm not trying to take that away from you, Washington Post man. You're absolutely right. I said, yep, get your fucking reparation. Go to the goddamn Crown to get your reparations. All right. Again, all I'm saying is those African slaves were not in the millions. And we're talking my folks' land was stolen. So here we go. This is by Michael Gasco, Guasco. It's saying Davidson College, but this is published by Oxford University Press. So this is called To Do Some Good Upon Their, to do, my bad, shit. I forgot they spelled stuff a little bit differently back then. To do some good upon their countrymen, the paradox of Indian slavery in early Anglo-America. Now, you see the difference of what the Washington Post man said? He kept fucking saying African slavery. But, bruh, you fucked up when you referenced this article. Because I had just saw it on Sis Tasha's show. It was about Indian slavery. All right. So, again, the brother that wrote this article, Michael Gasco, he also wrote a book. But his name is spelled Guasco. This particular section is to do some good upon the countrymen, the paradox of Indian slavery in early America. And I think this is an excerpt from his book. In the wake of the Pequot War in New England in 1637, 17 Pequot Indians, 15 boys, and 2 women were ordered to be sent out of New England by Massachusetts officials, right? So again, Washington Post man, clean up your shit. I don't appreciate that, goddamn. I don't appreciate it at all because you lied. But anyway, Hundreds of captives had been taken by the English Puritans as a result of the colonists' triumphs in battle at Mastic and the Great Swamp. Subsequently, many Pequot men were put to death, while others were divided up among the soldiers given to the Narragansetts. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, so forgive me. Narragansetts, or assigned to the Connecticut or Massachusetts colonies. The 17 women and boys, however, were placed on board the Salem-built craft of Captain Pierce and earmarked for the sale in the remote Atlantic island of Bermuda. For some reason, Captain Pierce missed his landing and continued on to the West Indies. Once there, Pierce deposited his cargo on the tiny Puritan outpost off the coast of Nicaragua at Providence Island, where by a stroke of Providence Island Company's pen, the rebel Pequots were transferred into cannibal Negroes, condemned to serve out their lives in slavery in Anglo-America's first true slave society. Indian slavery has become a subject of great interest to scholars in recent years. Though the most important works have focused on the 18th century and the Anglo-Spanish and Anglo-French borderlands, newer scholarship has been particularly important because of the willingness of historians to treat slavery less as a static institution in which Indians were poured by imperial officials and labor-starved planters, and more as cultural constructions or constructs that emerged as a result of negotiation between Europeans and indigenous peoples, rulers and ruled, and men and women. As a result, historians have effectively reconceptualized Indian slavery as nomadic institution with its own parameters, which ought to be distinguished from the chattel slavery practiced by Europeans. Unfortunately, scholarship on the enslavement of Indians during the earliest decades of Anglo-American settlements have not evolved apace. The record of the small shipload of Pequot Indians, for example, is a familiar piece of early Anglo-American history that appeared in a number of contexts. Some scholars rightly employ this event to demonstrate the consistency of the classical notion that individuals captured in just war could be justly enslaved. Others, however, see in the story an early example of something new coming to fruition in the colonies, such as the encroachment of plantation slavery among the English in the Americas and the racialization of non-European people that was ongoing early in the 17th century and would only intensify with time. Okay, so again, that is just an excerpt, and the author's name is Michael Gosco, Guasco, to do some good upon the countrymen, the paradox of Indian slavery in early Anglo-American, and who published it is Oxford University Press. All right, so shout out to Sister Tasha Sheep for putting out that great information. Please go check out her video. Of course, she brought a lot more to the table on that article as well. All right, sis or Brother Sean, you have anything you want to put on it before we get up in these treaties?
Yeah. I mean, they said that they don't have any researchers that are on that or with anything up to date. That's probably because they thought they had everything buried so well with that whole out of Africa thing. They had to dedicate all their time and resources to putting that story together. But,
I totally agree.
I mean, they use the term Indian, and then they use the term indigenous.
Yeah, you caught that. Yep. Indeed.
I mean, it's all with that paperwork. That's how they claim to own anything. But our ancestors knew that we didn't own Mama.
Right.
There's so much of the fuckery with the paperwork. And then to misinterpret the paperwork and try and place yourself within it when all their paperwork is structured toward how their corporations are supposed to conduct commerce and how the good citizens are supposed to behave. If you are who you say you are, that's the full extent of your involvement with paperwork, is letting them know what the fuck they supposed to be doing.
Right.
Because all your rights aren't listed in that shit anyway. That's just some pertaining to the corporation and telling they people what they ain't supposed to be doing when it comes to us.
Exactly.
But ain't nobody trying to enforce it from that angle. Y'all want to attack it from being citizens, and you want the entitlement of citizens.
Right, of being a Roman citizen. Exactly.
Right. You're not acting like you're a landlord. I mean, y'all say y'all understand it's commerce, then if it's commerce, then you're supposed to be acting from the aspect of the owner. I mean, to hell with what's going wrong with your corporation. Where's my goddamn money? I mean, you behind on your rent. I don't give a fuck about none of that other shit. Where's your rent money?
Right. And who told you you could put this and that on the motherfucking land?
Right. That's
I didn't tell you you could do that. Except, well, it ain't motherfucker. I ain't authorized it. Let's start with that.
Right. So you didn't already
I
broke your lease.
I authorized that. Exactly.
So it's time to go. I mean,
exactly.
That's basically the only thing that we should be enforcing. It's time to go. Y'all done broke every goddamn treaty. You done violated your lease. Every goddamn thing.
Yep. Indeed. All right. Okay, so we're getting ready to get up in these treaties. All right, because last week we went over the Indian Removal Act, and we took that stuff straight out of the Library of Congress. Ain't nobody made up a motherfucking thing. We literally took that out of the Library of Congress. We even went through Andrew Jackson's timeline and his little career. We took that straight out of the Library of Congress. Now, interestingly enough, when we were going through that Indian Removal Act, they also had in there how it was a campaign to start shipping the slaves, the black slaves, the Negroes, back over to Africa. Now, that came out of the motherfucking Library of Congress records. That lines right up with that whole Negro land shit. Okay? The company trying to set up charters over in Africa. Just like Phoenix Moon was the first one to bring that shit to light. Okay? So everything that folks have been telling you regarding who are the indigenous people of the land, they have been providing receipts for. And everywhere I turn around, it's being fucking validated. It's more receipts upon more receipts. The hidden information, and then we get it backed up by the corporation's own fucking documentation. All right. So we about to get up in these treaties. Oh, real quick, before I forget, and this is for you, Brother 832. You would appreciate this. Off of Black Lightning's last season finale, I guess that's what you called it, when they were sitting up in the court. Why was Black Lightning's wife's maiden name, last name Stewart? I looked at that shit. I'm like, oh, hell no, they fucking with us. Literally, her maiden name was Stewart. And so, those of you that are following that Black Lightning series, you know that Black Lightning's grandfather had all these powers, and he was fighting him in the end, woo-woo, this, that, and the third. So I'm like, okay, so basically they're showing you again the battle of the bloodlines between melanated people and how, like, Black Lightning's wife is a steward, and then Black Lightning and all the rest of them have all of these special powers. So I'm assuming like indigenous people, and all of this was taking place on free land. I'm like, God damn. They putting this shit right in our face again. So I just want to throw that out there to you, Brother 832. If you get a chance to go back and look at that, check out the very last scene when they sitting up in the court. It shows you what the wife's name is, who is a scientist, by the way. Last name is Stewart. And throughout that whole series, they are trying to harness the powers of these particular group of people. Only twist is, in the series, they're saying that they were given these powers. Yeah, okay, then. We know what that's all about. The folks really already have those powers, and they were just experimenting on them, trying to harness the people's powers. So Black Lightning's grandfather was trying to get all of the people with the power to unite and overthrow the rest of them. So in other words, overthrow the corporation. So it really put a new spin on that whole series for me when I saw what her last name was. I'm like, oh shit. So this is the merging of that black nobility European bloodline and the indigenous bloodline linking up to overthrow the corporation. So really, really, really interesting. Okay, so here we go. We about to get up in these treaties. Treaty with the Cherokee. This is coming off of Yale Law. I'm going to read these articles. A treaty. Okay, yeah. Did I say treaty with the Cherokee, 1791? a treaty of peace and friendship made and concluded between the President of the United States on behalf.
Are you talking? I can't hear you. Brother Sean?
I'm here, Cassandra.
Oh, can you hear her?
Not at all.
Look like a mic just. They don't want to hear them treaties. they don't honor them. They wrote them. They don't honor them. That's funny. Oh, when she started them treaties, click. Oh, that is wild. Maybe she'll catch on that she's not being heard.
I just sent her a text.
Oh, yeah. I just got to know. And had it. Years, June, 4 years. The fish. Well, it's great. And it's cornbread.
Now you starting to break up.
Starting to.
Yeah.
Wow.
To the purpose of those and everything.
So are you. You're breaking up too. Has she responded to you yet?
Yeah, I just talked to her. She's about to try and dial back in.
Oh, okay. Good, thanks.
For the interruption, family, but you know how they be doing.
Yeah, we apologize, don't we? Because when truths be told, nobody wants the truth that it's against the liar.
Okay.
Oh, there she is.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even know I dropped because I can't see the board when I'm reading. So Brother Sean had to call me, and I'm like, oh, maybe he dropped. He's like, no. I'm like, did you drop? No, you dropped. We can't hear you. I'm like, ain't this a bitch? All right. So sorry about that. Where did I drop off?
You were just beginning the treaty.
Ain't that a bitch, y'all? I was on article motherfucking stinking asses. Did I get into any of the articles or no?
Nope.
Not at all. You was just starting. You got to hit
the
2
date
words.
and everything. That's all you gave us.
Okay, I gave you the date. Ain't this a bitch? I can't make this up, y'all. Y'all were witness. Before we were rudely interrupted, Article 1, Did I at least say who the treaty was between?
Yeah.
You might as well repeat it.
Article. All right. The parties being desirous of establishing permanent peace and friendship between the United States and the said Cherokee Nation and the citizens and members thereof, to remove the causes of war by ascertaining their limits and making other necessary just and friendly arrangements. The President of the United States, by William Blount, Governor of the Territory of United States of America south of the River Ohio, and Superintendent of Indian Affairs for the Southern District, who is vested with full powers by these purposes, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate of the United States and the Cherokee Nation, by the undersigned chiefs and warriors representing the said nations, have agreed to the following articles, namely, Article 1. Shit. I was literally now going on the fourth article. There shall be perpetual peace and friendship between all citizens of the United States of America and all the individuals composing the whole Cherokee Nation of Indians. Article 2. The undersigned chiefs and warriors in all parts of the Cherokee Nation do acknowledge themselves in the said Cherokee Nation to be under the protection of the said United States of America and no other sovereign whosoever, and they also stipulate that the said Cherokee Nation will not hold any treaty with any foreign power, individual state, or with individuals of any state. So what I said before, I was literally just talking to my fucking self, was that they put that clause in there because, remember, they had to fight the French and they had to fight the Spanish. I'm not sure if they rumbled with the Dutch. I'm assuming they rumbled with the Dutch as well. So that's why they put this clause in here that the Cherokee Nation is under the protection of the United States Corporation, or what they call in America, but it's still a corporation. That name is a corporation, and no other sovereign nation. All right, so in other words, so you can't go strike up no other motherfucking agreement with no other corporation, all right? So we have exclusive commerce rights to your shit, basically. All right. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
That sounds like you my bitch, now you work for me.
Pretty much.
You ain't got no other pimp. I'm that dude.
Right. Bitch, look at the curb. Why are you looking at him? Look at the curb.
Right.
Right.
I protect you. You're under my protection.
Right.
And nobody gonna fuck with you.
Right. I house, feed, and clothe you when the fuck I feel like it, how the fuck I feel like it, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. So, that's for our peeps. That's about that life. Now y'all know exactly what the fuck we talking about if you don't want the corporate way. Article 3. The Cherokee Nation shall deliver to the governor of the territory of the United States of America south of the River Ohio on or before the first day of April next. At this place, all persons who are now prisoners captured by them from any parts of the United States, and the United States shall on or before the same day and the same place restore to the Cherokees all the prisoners now in captivity, which the citizens of the United States has captured from them. So that should be self-explanatory. You release our people to us, we release your people to you. Article 4. the boundaries between the citizens of the United States and the Cherokee Nation is and shall be as follows. Beginning at the top of Karuhi Mountain, where the creek line passes it thence a direct line to Chijulo River, thence northeast of the Akona Mountain, and over the same along the South Carolina Indian boundary to the North Carolina boundary, thence north to a point from which a line is to be extended to the river Clinch, that shall pass the Halston at the ridge which divides the waters running into Little River from those running into Tennessee, thus up the river Clinch to Campbell's Line. Okay, now remember I told you that Campbell's name is out of Europe. It's a melanated name. The Campbell name owned a lot of territory in Europe. Okay, that came out of Brother Lee Cummings' book, The Negro Question, Part 6, The 13 Black Colonies. All right? And along the same to the top of Cumberland Mountain, thence a direct line to Cumberland River where the Kentucky Road crosses it, thence down to Cumberland River to a point which a southwest line will strike the ridge which divides the water of Cumberland from the Duck River 40 miles above Nashville, thence down the said ridge to a point whence a southwest line will strike the mouth of Duck River. And in order to preclude forever all disputes related to the said boundary, the same shall be ascertained and marked plainly by 3 persons appointed on the part of the United States and 3 Cherokees on the part of their nation. And in order to extinguish forever all claims of the Cherokee Nation or any part thereof to any of the land lying to the right of the line above described, beginning as foresaid at the Karuhi Mountain, it is hereby agreed that in addition to consideration heretofore made for the said land, the United States will cause certain valuable goods to be immediately delivered to the undersigned chief and warriors for the use of their nation, and the said United States will also cause the sum. I'm finna read this amount. It's gonna make you fucking sick to your goddamn stomach. And the said United States will also cause the sum of $1,000 to be paid annually to the said Cherokee Nation. And the undersigned chief and warriors do hereby for themselves and the whole Cherokee Nation, their heirs and descendants, for the considerations above mentioned, release, quit claim, relinquish, and cede all the lands to the right of the land described at the beginning as foresaid. Okay. Now, if this shit ain't reading like a contract, anybody that's ever read a goddamn legalese contract, shit, fucking around with paperwork. 5, it is stipulated. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
They had that one line in there where it says for use of their land.
Yeah, let me go back to that shit. Wait a minute. Said land. Yes, it says the United States will cause certain valuable goods to be immediately delivered to the undersigned chiefs and warriors for the use of their nation, and the said United States will also, for the use of their nation. The $1,000.
And this said to chiefs, right? To those certain chiefs, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they got the motherfucking chief's name up in this bitch too. Yeah.
So he fucking sold out for something personal. And it's in writing.
Right.
So, I mean, it's important to know your bloodline because
it's very important.
If you're a descendant from one of these motherfuckers that sold out, I mean, I can't blame you for that, but
right.
If you trying to profit and benefit through them exact same goddamn treaty that son bitch signed, then you fucked.
Yeah, you are.
And I ain't talking about for me.
You are.
You got mama to deal with. You got that karma to deal with.
Show and the fuck do. That's why those whose ancestors were a part of the fuckery, it's supposed to be your responsibility to clean that shit up. But if you want to fall right back in line, cutting motherfucking deals, okay. Like I said, go outside and explain that to the motherfucking plasma. Because I personally don't want to hear it. How the fuck you think you gonna sell? You essentially sold your mother. How the fuck you gonna sell your mother? How the fuck you gonna sell your birthright when your own people did not sell mother? So that bloodline was essentially cursed. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
Yeah, so a change in perspective with this is understanding who done what and how it may or may not pertain to you. If you're not of that bloodline that signed that, then that karma and curse that go along with that is not on you.
Right.
Focus your energy elsewhere.
Right.
You got to find out who you are and what part your bloodline plays in this, and exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
That's right.
You're either supposed to be cleaning up your bloodline, or you supposed to be immediately focused on doing your part with mama.
That's right.
And that's mainly getting your frequency up. She can handle everything. She don't really need you to do shit.
She really don't.
But you her child, so she trying to give you the opportunity to get your shit right.
Right.
Remember who you are, remember your place, and more importantly, remember who the fuck she is and all that she done for your ass. Right.
And interestingly enough, I do have to send a shout out to ODB from Wu-Tang Clan. Y'all can go on YouTube, pull the motherfucking video yourself. He was being interviewed, and he said that one of his relatives, and I can't remember how many greats ago he went back, was the one that sold Manhattan. He fucking said it. And that shit, my mouth just fucking dropped like, whoa. He fucking said it. Now the brother started having a lot of problems, legal issues after he fucking said that. But he sure said it. And then I want to say it was his sister. Don't quote me. I don't know if it was his sister, a cousin, or somebody. Repeated after he had transitioned. Repeated what he said, because that person, either the cousin or sister, said that he would say it all the time. Because folks may have thought ODB was crazy. I don't necessarily think he was crazy. I just think he was tapping into some other dimensions, getting some motherfucking information that was just like tripping him the fuck out. But anyway, this relative said to him when he said to her, blah, 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 was, we had a Indian chief in our family named blah, 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 who sold Manhattan. Manhattan is our people's shit. And she said to him, well, you might as well give that shit up. You ain't getting it back. All right? So I'm just giving an example of folks who participated in the slicing and dicing of the land. All right, so here we go. Article 5. It is stipulated and agreed that the citizens and inhabitants of the United States shall have a free and unmolested use of a road from Washington District to Metro District and to the navigation of the Tennessee River. Article 6. It is agreed on the part of the Cherokees that the United States shall have the sole and exclusive right of regulating their trade. Article 7. The United States solemnly guarantee to the Cherokee Nation all their land not hereby ceded. All right, so I'm going to pause and get a sip of water. So, Brother Sean, what does that clause mean to you?
Well, basically, y'all can still chill on the land we ain't took yet. But everything that we took, you ain't getting that shit back at all. Stop talking. Chill over there. We get back around to you in a few minutes.
All right, then. So that was what? 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. If any citizen of the United States or any person not being an Indian shall settle on any of the Cherokees' land, such person shall forfeit protection of the United States, and the Cherokee may punish him or not as they please. All right.
So,
no citizen. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
That's that beware owner sign.
Exactly. Pretty much. Article 9. No citizen or inhabitant of the United States shall attempt to hunt or destroy the game on the lands of the Cherokee, nor shall any citizens or inhabitant go into Cherokee country without a passport first obtained from the governor of some one of the United States or territorial district or such other person as the President of the United States may from time to time authorize to grant the same. All right, so they kind of tricked them right there because, bitch, even, oh yeah, me personally, number one, I wouldn't have signed this bullshit. As is, no woman signed this bullshit. Let's be clear on that. But if I were to engage, bitch, you ain't finna write a motherfucking thing. I'm gonna write the shit up, and you don't tell me what the fuck to do. Period, as they say in the country, not period. For the Caucasian listeners, not period. In the South, it's period. You ain't gonna tell me what the fuck to do. Period. All right, so basically they're saying, oh yeah, nobody can come on your shit, this, that, and the third, with the exception of if the president say so or if they have a passport. Oh, okay then. So basically I still don't have control of my shit. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Exactly, but for all those people in the so-called sovereign movements and everything else to be hollering about passports. As you see, they was issuing passports way back then to have permission to come on your land.
Exactly.
Now you asking them for a passport and figure because you can go to the other corporations that you free. No, that just
Ain't that
means
shit deep?
that just means that all corporations got a stake in your ass. When you go over there, you got to follow their rules. You got this passport, this, that, or the other. You're international property. So they can do what the fuck they want to do to you.
That's right. That's why if you go over there fucking around, the U.S. court, they ain't coming over there to get your ass. They're going to be like, she did what? That's motherfucking on her. Shit. We ain't got shit to do with that.
Just like they told their citizens at first that if you go over there, hey, they can do what they want to do to you.
That's exactly what they said. That's
Because
exactly what they said.
You going over there to take or try and cut a deal. If you trying to go cut a deal with them, that means you're not being a good citizen.
You're not being a good citizen.
You trying to cut me out some shit. You not dependent on me. You trying to eat on your own. You trying to be independent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
what?
Who is that? Agricon goes, ODB is it the Shinnecock? The Shinnecock tribe. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Sorry, go ahead, sis.
What's the problem for me is that, you know, the Indian Removal Act sent all these people over to Jamaica, Africa, and whatever. And when they had that hurricane that just raked the Bahamas through the cold, those people couldn't even come over here, even though they were probably originally from here, because they didn't have their visas or passports to get over here. So by them setting passports, we can't even get out this country now without a passport.
Shit, let me tell you one goddamn thing. They making it, you can't travel from motherfucking state to state without a passport. Because they're telling you when you upgrade that fucking driver's license in order to get on the motherfucking plane, you better have your quote mini passport together, because you can't use that driver's license to board their plane.
That's true. It's really bad. I mean, it's like...
If you got the one that's in color, if you got the one that's in color, then that's federal. That means you could fly on that. If you got the one that's black and white, then it's local. That means you got to travel by vehicle, by the road. It just means you can't fly.
Yeah, true.
I mean, seriously. So what are they doing? They're staking claim on all of America, and they just got rid of all the treaties?
But you could look at it like this. If they're making you have a passport to be able to fly from state to state, they lightweight acknowledging that there are different countries. Because we didn't call it states.
Like it was back in the day. Am I right or am I wrong? That's how the fuck it was back in the day.
These were different countries with no such thing as no damn states.
Yeah, that's true.
And to be truthful, it's always been like that. That's why each state has its own constitution, each state contract, each state has its own charter authorization to do business. So, yeah, absolutely. Great point, Brother Sean. Great point. Purple Pill goes, if you know what you're doing, one can create one's own passport. I've had many passports. My oldest daughter has 3 foreign passports. All right. So here we go. 10. If any Cherokee, Indian, or Indians, or persons residing among them, or who shall take refuge in their nation, shall steal a horse from, or commit a robbery or murder or other capital crime on any citizens or inhabitants of the United States, the Cherokee nation shall bound to deliver him or them up to be punished according to the laws of the United States. Okay, so again, that was bullshit from the start. How the fuck you gonna tell me which one of my people to deliver to you? You on our motherfucking shit, bitch. Now, we're gonna handle it, but you sure in the fuck ain't finna give them no type of your quote justice. You can get the fuck on out of here with that, bruh. All right. 11. If any citizen or inhabitant of the United States or either of the territorial districts of the United States shall go into any town, settlement, or territory belonging to the Cherokees and shall there commit any crime upon or trespass against the persons or property of any peaceable and friendly Indian or Indians, which if committed within the jurisdiction of any state or within the jurisdiction of either of said districts against a citizen or white inhabitant thereof, would be punishable by the laws of such state or district. Such offender or offenders shall be subject to the same punishment and shall be proceeded against in the same manner as if the offense had been committed within the jurisdiction of the state or district to which he or she may have belonged against a citizen or white inhabitant thereof. All right, so notice how they had to throw that citizen or white inhabitant. So they were making a distinguish between the two. All right, so they was kind of motherfucking long-winded with that to pretty much say that if they go on the Cherokee shit, that the Cherokee had the right to punish them, but it kind of almost lightweight sounded, unless I'm reading the shit wrong, that they were kind of still gonna tell the Cherokee how to fucking punish them. Or am I misreading that? Or it was that kind of like what they said, and that's okay if I'm misreading that. I'm cool with that too. All right, next one. In case of violence on the persons or properties of the individual of either party, neither retaliation or reprisal shall be committed by the other until satisfaction shall have been demanded of the party of which the aggressor is and shall have been refused. Go ahead,
what I got out of that, if you're white, you're not a citizen. Of course, they make a distinction between a citizen and a white person.
Well, they said citizen or white inhabitant. Yeah, that they made a motherfucking distinguished. So who was the citizen?
We know who the white people were. That was a slave. So who is the citizen?
The citizen. What was that? Not those melanated Europeans? Shit, they didn't even motherfucking say the Africans, because you would think they would have said Africans, distinguish the shit between the Africans, or maybe I'm just missing something.
No, they call folks vagabonds and everything in their decrees, so they probably did that deliberately.
All right. Next article. The Cherokee shall give notice to the citizens of the United States of any design which they may know or suspect to be formed in any neighboring tribe or by any person whatsoever against the peace and interests of the United States. Again, some bullshit. Bitch, I ain't finna spy for you. Fuck you. Goddamn. If you fucking with other tribes, goddamn it, that's, hey, bruh, don't put me in that bullshit. So whoever fucking signed this bullshit ass treaty, you was dead motherfucking wrong.
And a snitch.
How the fuck? Yeah, you a motherfucking snitch. Shit. Next article. That the Cherokee Nation may be led to a greater degree of civilization and to become herdsmen and cultivators instead of remaining in a state of hunters. The United States will from time to time furnish gratuitously the said nation with useful implements. God damn it, this is good. The said nation with useful implements of husbandry. Remember, husbandry means tilling the land. And further, to assist the said nation in so desirable a pursuit, and at the same time to establish a certain mode of communication. The United States will send such and so many persons to reside in said nations as they may judge proper, not exceeding 4 in numbers, who shall qualify themselves to act as interpreters. These persons shall have lands assigned by the Cherokees for cultivation for themselves and their successors in office, but they shall be precluding exercising any kind of traffic. So, you means to motherfucker tell me that the folk that signed this bullshit ass treaty, you agreed to be husbandry, to till the motherfucking land for they bitch asses? You agreed to have they motherfucking spies / interpreters watch the fuck over you? And plus you give them some land on the motherfucking side? This the bullshit fucked up ass treaty you signed? This some bullshit. Clearly, you could not have wrote this bullshit yourself. Because I don't see where you fucking benefiting at all from this bullshit. Not at all. Next one. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
The whole thing with the interpreter, though, that means that they dumbasses also taught them the language and the customs.
Exactly.
Other than that, I mean, the interpreter just didn't pop up knowing.
Exactly. When it should have been the opposite. Bitch, I ain't finna teach your people a motherfucking thing. Now, I send such and so over there to learn your motherfucking language, and we communicate that way, but you can get the fuck on out of there with your folks learning our shit. Now, get the fuck on. It ain't finna happen, bruh. All right, next one. All animosity for past grievances shall henceforth cease, and the contradicting parties will carry the foregoing treaty into full execution with good faith and sincerity. So basically, you motherfuckers signed. Oh, we just gonna let the past be the past. Oh, okay then.
Turn the other cheek. You went biblical on his ass.
Right. Next one. This treaty shall take effect and be obligatory on the contracting parties as soon as the same shall have been ratified by the President of the United States with the advice and consent of the Senate of the United States, and witness of all and everything herein determined between the United States of America and the whole Cherokee Nation, the parties have hereunto set their hands and seals at the treaty ground on the bank of Halston, near mouth of the French Broad, within the United States, this second day of July in the year of our Lord 1791. William Blount, governor in over the territory of the United States of America south of the River Ohio, and superintendent of the Indian Affairs for the Southern District. All right, so I'm not going to read through all of these names. Every one of these chiefs out of this Cherokee Nation was a fucking man. Every one of them. So and let's not even mention that was only part of the territory that these men signed off on. So it still don't justify the motherfucking squatting that's going on today. But out the gate, this shit is invalid because men signed it. Men were not landowners in indigenous cultures. The women were the holders of the land. So this motherfucking shit was fraudulent out the gate. All right, and so then they also have on here the United States south of the Ohio River. They have representatives on their end from Kentucky, Metro District, Virginia, Georgia, 2 people from Georgia, now North Carolina, Washington District. All right, so that's 1761. Yeah, I agree. A speciality. These treaties and signatures with X are fraudulent agreements if there is not equal trading amongst both parties. Yeah, because great point, because literally in the motherfucking treaty, it says Chief such and so and give their chief nickname his X mark. So you're absolutely right. The shit was signed by X's. Okay. So now y'all get that term, X marks the spot. Now, do you understand where the fuck that came from? So it's just fraudulent all the fuck the way around. Number one, if these people, quote, quote, signed it with the X, these chiefs, these men, they did not have the authority to do it. And how the fuck you signing something with an X?
They didn't use a proper name. Those tribes weren't called those names they have on there, and it's not a meeting of the minds.
No, because the way they have it broken down, they have it where supposedly the chief's name, of course, is that tribal name.
That's right.
And then they give their nickname.
You can't sign in nicknames. You have to have meeting of the mind, and the tribal name has to be proper. Plus the fact that they probably changed the map name of all those places they named many times over and increased their boundaries. So,
right.
Yeah.
But let's be clear, they didn't sign it with their tribal name.
No,
they just said this person put his X mark, and then the interpreter John Thompson and James Saray are the interpreters. So I'm taking a wild guess, now this is just me, that the interpreters were melanated European men. Okay, but I don't give a fuck if you were green. It still ain't fucking lawful. And the highest law, it goes against universal law. So y'all can get the fuck up out of here with this bullshit ass treaty with the Cherokee. All right? Okay. So those Native Americans today that are representing, saying that you are Cherokee, shit, I would be plumb flat out fucking embarrassed. You talking about some treaties? Really, bruh? All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Because they had to do a remix of the bullshit. This is Treaty with the Cherokee, 1794. Whereas the treaty made and concluded on Halsted River on the second day of July 1791 between the United States of America and the Cherokee Nation of Indians has not been fully carried into execution by reason of some misunderstanding has arisen. Oh, hell no. So they just going to do an update because it was some misunderstanding. All right, here we go again. Article 1. And whereas the undersigned Henry Knox, Secretary of the Department of War, being authorized thereto by the President of the United States in behalf of the United States, and the undersigned chief and warriors in their own names and in behalf of the whole Cherokee Nation, that's why these bitches redid this. Notice they put in their own names. Bitch, it wasn't in their own name, goddamn. You said they marked the shit with the X. So you get the fuck up out of here with that too. So anyway, and we had, I'm sorry, go ahead. What'd you say, Brother Sean?
I said, and they said these persons.
Yeah. On behalf and in behalf of the whole Cherokee Nation are the serious and reestablishing. Now, you got to reestablish the peace and friendship between the said parties in a permanent manner, do hereby declare that the said Treaty of Halsted is, to all intents and purposes, in full force and binding upon the said parties, as well in respect to the boundaries therein mentioned, as in all respects whatever. 2, it is hereby stipulated that the boundaries mentioned in the 4th article of the said treaty shall be actually ascertained and marked in the manner prescribed by the said article, whenever the Cherokee Nation shall have 90 days notice of the time and place at which the Commissioner of the United States intend to commence their operations. 3, the United States to evince their justice by amply compensating the Cherokee nations of Indians for all relinquishment of land made by either Treaty of Hopewell upon the Kiowa River conclude on the 28th of November 1785, or the aforesaid treaty made upon Halsted River on the 2nd of July 1791, do hereby stipulate in lieu of all former slims to be paid annually to furnish the Cherokee Indians with goods suitable for their use to the amount of $5,000 yearly. Next one. And the said Cherokee Nation, in order to evince the sincerity of their intentions in the future, to prevent the practice of stealing horses, attended with the most preposterous consequences to the lives and peace of both parties, do hereby agree that for every horse which shall be stolen from the white inhabitants by any Cherokee Indian and not returned within 3 months, the sum of $50 shall be deducted from the said annuity of $5,000. The article now stipulates will be considered as permanent additions to the Treaty of Holston as soon as they have ratified by the President of the United States and the Senate of the United States, in witness of all and everything herein determined between the United States of America and the whole Cherokee Nation. The parties have hereunto set their hands and seals in the city of Philadelphia within the United States. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
And you wonder why they gotta go. Because they cheated. It's a fraudulent contract.
All of it is fraudulent.
Total fraud. It's not a meeting of the mind. It wasn't in a language that they both understood. You know, the names are incorrect. They signed with an X. They didn't have a quorum of people. They had one person that do this, whereas the president can't give away land. It has to be a quorum of 2/3. It's really fraudulent, really, really fraudulent. And their guns enforce those treaties, not the fact that the treaties are themselves enforceable.
Exactly.
The only way they keep keeping it is with their military.
Exactly. Okay, so the parties have hereunto set their hands and seals in the city of Philadelphia. Okay, so I want y'all to pay attention because I know a lot of people that study early law and private and public and that Philadelphia connection. Be careful on what you're saying, okay? Because that Philadelphia shit, yeah, it is what it is, but if you're indigenous, it still was not for your benefit. And that's why melanated people get confused and think they can do the back end stuff and it benefits them. Okay? All right. With it, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean. Yes.
Considering we had star forts and all type of stuff like that here, I really don't think it had so much to do with their damn rifles and shit. I just think that's part of the bullshit lie as to how they really took over. I mean, it wasn't enough of them, considering it was giants and all types of things here. And this has taken place, I guess, during the 100-Year War. So that might explain why
90 seconds
expressly with the quote-unquote Cherokee. But he did mention the Treaty of Hopewell. But I thought originally he said that they couldn't sign no other treaties. So that was 2 treaties right there, just with the Cherokee.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just so much fuckery in their whole version.
It's a lot of fuckery.
60 seconds.
But ultimately, what it's going to come down to, once you get to know who you are and what your purpose is, what are you actually going to do? Because they've been knowing who you are. Only thing they're worried about now is what the fuck you gonna do. They're used to you not doing shit but protesting and asking them for shit.
And protesting for the wrong shit and asking for the wrong shit. And asking is even the wrong word to even say because you shouldn't be asking for a goddamn thing.
10 seconds.
Stop killing us. Could you stop this? Could you stop
on your own shit? On your own shit. Now, interestingly enough, if you looked at who signed this motherfucking remix, it's less than half the people that signed the original Even less than half the people, even less than half the people of their people who signed it, different interpreters, all of that motherfucking bullshit. So this shit was bullshit too. The first one was bullshit. This one was bullshit. And you gonna open it up talking about some misunderstanding. No, bitch. You drew up the motherfucking documents, was trying to enforce that shit. And the indigenous Indians was like, get the fuck out of here. They kept doing what they wanted to do, so you gonna put this motherfucking remix in there, and the shit still ain't even lawful in your fucking legalese. It ain't even lawful in your legalese. How you gonna do an amendment to a motherfucking contract and not have the original supposedly signer sign the bitch? Not even your own original people are one-to-one relationships. So you can get the fuck on out of here with that bullshit. All right. So that's the Cherokee one. And not to mention, Cherokee was putting together of supposed tribes that they claim came together to ban as one tribe. I don't even trust what the fuck you say on that. Because next thing we know, when the Indian Removal Act happened, we read it in the motherfucking records that 50,000 did the Trail of Tears, 50 fucking thousand out of millions of people. So everything that you have done has fucking been fraudulent. Out the gate. And why the quote, supposed alleged Native Americans, why the fuck y'all ain't going in hard like this? You can fucking read. Why aren't you pulling up these motherfucking stinking ass original treaties? Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. You can't. Because it's not yours by bloodline. And you done signed a fucked up agreement where your projects that you're calling reservations are being held in trust. And they telling you what the fuck to do, how to do it. And your people are living in poverty while, quote, white folks are getting the benefits and holding the titles as chiefs. And you're comfortable with that bullshit? And then when indigenous people tell you, no, really, we're the indigenous people, we're lying, and you're getting screwed big time, you have no power, no say-so. They take what the fuck they want from you, when they want from you, how they want from you. All right, let's go to the next treaty. This is with the Chickasaw. This is 1816. Again, this is still off the Avalon Project. Let me check the board. Oh, sorry, Purple Pill. I didn't get to say bye. Purple Pill had to hang out on Blog Talk today because he was on his phone and he wouldn't have been able to pull YouTube. So peace and love to you, Purple, for your wisdom. So let me go to 661. I'm not sure, 661, if you're in the queue before we go to this next treaty. All right. Peace and love, 661. Hello. Your line is open.
Hello, sister. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? It's so good to hear your voice, brother.
I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to state what you were speaking about, how they violate the treaties. So Marbury versus Madison states that they are supposed to have their full name signed on a contract. as they don't sign their full name on that contract is void. The presidents are not supposed to put Donald J. Trump. It's supposed to be Donald John Trump. Because you can't abbreviate a name, because if you abbreviate a name, it's considered fictitious and illegal. That's in Marbury versus Madison 5 U.S. 1 Crunch 137/1803 states that. So if it's 1803, and you said these treaties are what time?
The first one, what was it, 1761 and then 1764.
So those contracts should be binding because they're under common law. Not binding, but those contracts should be voided because those contracts are all solely basis under common law, and Marbury versus Madison was actually under a common law treaty. And it connects you to the land, just like those documents and treaties were. So they are playing everybody big time.
Yep.
And if somebody ever wanted to take that to the Supreme Court, even though it'd be a hell of a run, they could try it, because whoever signed those treaties, even if we put an X on it, or whoever put the X on there, that's not their full name. So those contracts are not binding.
Right.
At all.
Right.
So you can't regulate, you can't control anything because those contracts are not binding. What it tells me is that you a damn thief.
Exactly.
That's what it told me. And whoever put the X's on there, he's probably a person who didn't even know what the hell he was looking at. You know how sometimes people put an X in a line, for their signature?
Right.
They probably did something like that.
Well, just the fact that they gave their own interpreter, and the interpreter just could have been telling them, man, you're going to get this amount of money every motherfucking month to just let us use this land or rent this land.
Right, and those contracts are too one-sided. You can't have a contract when it's one-sided. When one person tells you what they're going to do and you can't implement what you want done, that is not a contract. That is a forcible contract under duress. And those contracts, according to their laws, will be considered voided contracts under duress.
Yep.
I digress.
All right, brother. And thank you so much. He was actually the brother that dropped the links for me last week. So thank you so much. I didn't even have to go and research them. By the time we ended the show last week, brother had already dropped the links for me. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. That saved me a lot of time for going looking for them. So peace and love, brother.
All right, peace and love.
Okay, then. All right, so that's Sis Sandra's son, family. We chop it up all during the week. All right. Let's get rum to the Chickasaw. This is 1816. To settle all territorial controversies and to perpetuate that peace and harmony which has long happily subsisted between the United States and Chickasaw Nation, the President of the United States of America by Major General Andrew Jackson, General David Meriwether, and Jesse Franklin, Esquire, on the one part, and the whole Chickasaw Nation in council assembled on the other, have agreed on the following articles, which, when ratified by the President with the advice and the consent of the Senate of the United States, shall be binding on all parties. All right, so just real quick, we the motherfucking took and told y'all. that all of these agreements that were cut, or supposedly and allegedly cut, even the contract of the Constitution, there was always a melanated European fucking involved in it. Okay? So whether or not they were embedded in the indigenous people's nation through marriage, hence Iroquois nation, with the motherfucking Constitution and all that bullshit. Here you have Jesse Franklin, Esquire. That Esquire title ties back to Europe. All right, Article 1. Peace and friendship are hereby firmly established and perpetuated between the United States of America and Chickasaw Nation. 2. The Chickasaw Nation ceded to the United States with the exception of such reservations. Now notice, on the other one, back up in the 1700s with the Cherokees, the word reservation didn't come into play. Now we talking some motherfucking reservation. With the exception of such reservations as shall hereby be specified, all rights or title to lands on the north side of the Tennessee River and relinquish all claims to territory on the south side of said river and east of the line commencing at the mouth of the Caney Creek, running up said creek to its source, thence a due south course to a ridge path, or commonly called Gaines Road, along said road southwestwardly to a point on Tombigbee River, well known by the name of Cotton Gin Port, and down the west bank of Tombigbee to the Choctaw boundary. All right, so who would sign a motherfucking agreement? Now, bear with me here. Who in the fuck would sign an agreement saying you giving up this territory of land with the exception of a reservation that I'm not even going to motherfucking tell you? Who the fuck would sign an agreement like that?
Somebody who's drunk. Remember that you can't sign a contract if you've been drinking or under the influence, and they did do that to them too.
Who the fuck would sign that? Oh yeah, oh okay, you finna sell me your shit. Yeah, I got some land for you. Oh, I ain't gonna tell you where the fuck it is. I'll tell you when I get ready to tell. Who the fuck signed something like that? You mean to tell me that they struck a deal and they didn't even know where the fuck their babies was going to lay their head? Get the fuck out of here. Yep. 3. In consideration of the relinquishment of claim and succession of lands made in the preceding article, still ain't named the motherfucking land. You still ain't specifically told me, bitch, where the fuck me and mine are supposed to go. The commissioners agreed to allow the Chickasaw Nation $12,000 per annum for 10 successive years and $4,500 to be paid in 60 days after the ratification of the treaty in the hands of Levi Corbett as a compensation for any improvements which individuals of the Chickasaw Nation may have had on the land surrendering. That is to say, $2,000 for improvements on the east side of Tombigbee and $2,500 for the improvements on the north side of Tennessee River. 4. The commissioner agrees that the following tracts of land shall be reserved to the Chickasaw Nation. First, 1 tract of land for the use of, this shit gets worse and worse. Let me take a swig of water, shit. First, one tract of land for the use of Colonel George Colbert and heirs. Wait a fucking minute. Who the fuck signed some shit like this? Bitch, you ain't told me where me and mine gonna go. But, you took the motherfucking time. You took the motherfucking time to tell me specifically what fucking of my land you finna get your boys in them? Who the fuck signs an agreement like this? Get the fuck out of here. And his motherfucking heirs. Bitch, you didn't even mention my heirs. Get the fuck out of here. Colonel George Colbert and his heirs, and which is thus described by said Colbert, beginning, and let the motherfucking name what the fuck he wanted. If they don't get the fuck out of my face with this bullshit, they don't get the fuck out of my face with this bullshit. Beginning on the north bank of the Tennessee River at a point that running north 4 miles will include a big spring. He done picked out him a motherfucking big spring. Ain't this a bitch? About halfway between his ferry and the mouth of Cypress, it being a spring that a large cow path crosses its branch near where a cypress tree is cut down. There they go, fucking cutting down trees. Thus westwardly to a point 4 miles from Tennessee River and standing due north on a point on the north bank of the river 3-4 miles below ferry on the Tennessee River and up the meanders of said river to the beginning. Now remember, Tennessee, it's Jackson's motherfucking stomping grounds. Andrew Jackson. And remember, in White Trash, the 400-year untold history of class in America, Jackson got called out by, because Jackson came up through cracker country. So meaning he came from that indentured servant world. So when his motherfucking stinking ass got put on, he was like, fuck you indentured servants. I ain't trying to fuck with y'all like that. He rolled with the European folks and gave them fucking land. And he fell out with a dude over this same bullshit. So this is one of his motherfucking boys in them that he said, man, just pick what the fuck you want. Now, mind you, let's be clear, in Article 2, they ain't even named what the fuck the Chickasaw Nation is getting, but you mean to tell me, bitch, you gonna specifically give your motherfucking boy, not only your motherfucking boy, but his heirs? Bitch, if y'all don't get the fuck out my face with this bullshit, fuck you, Andrew Jackson, all of you motherfucking founding fathers, fuck you. Second, a tract of land. Now, I'm still on his motherfucking stinking ass boy. I ain't even got to the next one. Go ahead, sis.
Big conflicts of interest, isn't it?
Yeah, this is some bullshit, pissing me all the fuck the way off.
It's not for the country of America.
No.
It was for the personal use. So how does the United States claim it as theirs?
It was for what they were calling the land speculators, and I told y'all that they was carving up this land for their motherfucking boys in them.
Yep.
But
not for this
their boys in them, exactly. They boys in them still had to pay them taxes or tithes back to the crown. Okay, so the second one is somebody else. A tract of land 2 miles square on the north bank of Tennessee River and at its junction with Beach Creek for the use of Apasian Tubby and her heirs. Third, a tract of land 1 mile square on the north side of Tennessee River for the use of John McLeish and heirs, the said tract to be run as to include the said McLeish, settlement and improvement on the north side of Buffalo Creek. Fourth, 2 tracts of land containing 40 acres each on the south side of Tennessee River and about 2.5 miles below the Cotton Gin port on Tombigbee River, which tracts of land will be pointed out by Major Levy Colbert and for the use of said Colbert and his heirs. Okay, so Colbert got even more motherfucking land. It is stipulated that the above reservations shall appertain to the Chickasaw Nation only so as long as they shall be occupied, cultivated, or used by the present proprietors or heirs, and in the event of all or either of said tracts of land so reserved be abandoned by the present proprietors or heirs, each tract or tracts of land so abandoned shall revert to the United States as a portion of that territory seceded by the second article of this treaty. I can't with that. That's some bullshit. Because it says it is stipulated that the above reservations shall appertain to the Chickasaw Nation only so long as they shall occupy, cultivate, or use by the present proprietors or their heirs. So their boys and them and their heirs are on the land, get the benefit and run the land, but the Chickasaw and them are working the fucking land. And if the proprietors abandon the land goes back to the United States government. So again, who the fuck signs a treaty like this? Who the fuck signs this bullshit? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
And it can't go back to somebody who never had it in the first place. It's crazy.
It just absolutely make no sense. And hence the story of slavery, where you had the slave masters and these motherfucking slaves. It sounds like to me it was the motherfucking indigenous Indians working their own fucking land. 5. Well, in this situation, that's what the fuck it sound like to me. 5. This some bullshit.
Oh, you know,
y'all.
that's what happened in Spain. Spain came over here. They took Texas, right? Mexico. And then they had worked the land. And when Spain, and then when Spain left, because they got kicked out, then he deeded it over to the people who already owned it in the first place. That's how they were doing
but who the fuck signs an agreement like that?
A gun.
Bitch, you mean to tell me? Bitch, you trying to tell me
a gun
that you done came on my shit, fucked me all the way up. You done just kicked in my door, whooped everybody in my house's ass, said this ain't no longer your motherfucking house. Oh, but by the way, you better keep this bitch clean. You better cook. You better do all of that. And if I decide I don't want to live here no more, deuces, I'm out. This motherfucker still don't belong to you. Who the fuck signs an agreement like that? Yeah, right. They were prisoners of war. Next, the 2 contracting parties covenant and agree that the line on the south side, they use contracting parties covenant, agree that the line on the south side of the Tennessee River as described in the second article of this treaty shall be ascertained and marked by the commissioners to be appointed by the President of the United States, that the mark shall be bold, trees to be blazed on both sides of the land, and the fore and off trees to be marked with the letters U.S. that the commissioner shall be attended by 2 persons to be designed by the Chickasaw Nation, and that the said nation shall have due and seasonable notice when said operation is to be commenced. 6. In consideration of the conciliatory disposition events during the negotiation of this treaty by the Chickasaw chiefs and warriors, but more particularly as a manifestation of friendship and liberality of the President of the United States, the commissioners agreed to give on the ratification of this treaty to Chinnabi, king of the Chickasaw, to Tishominco, William McGilvery, Aparastobi, Samuel Sealy, James Brown, Levi Colbert, Ika Yokakula, George Pettigrove, Ematar Miko, Chickasaw chiefs. Okay, so y'all notice, I hope y'all peep game. Some of them names up in there didn't sound indigenous to me. James Brown, probably melanated European. Samuel Sealy, probably melanated European. Levi Colbert, I'm assuming probably a Caucasian guy that's related to the other Colbert person, George Colbert, Jackson's boys and them. All right. So they're Caucasian. All right. And to Malcolm McGee, interpreter. Who the fuck makes this up? How the fuck the interpreter wind up getting put on? And to Malcolm McGee, interpreter, $150 each. Okay, we give y'all that funky ass money, whatever. In goods or cash, as may be preferred. And to Major William Glover, Colonel George Colbert, Captain Rabbit, Haber, Harmer. I'm not trying to pronounce these other names, y'all. They're all indigenous. James Colbert. So Colbert and them got put the fuck on. Coleman, Mather, I'm not going to go through all these names. Military leaders, $100 each. And a particular mark of distinction and favor for his long service and faithful adherence to the United States government. The commissioners agreed to allow General William Colbert an annuity of $100 for during his life. 7. Whereas, so notice all of the names that they named up in this, especially them indigenous names, they took a motherfucking pay. All right. 7. Whereas the chiefs and warriors of the Chickasaw Nation have found from experience that the crowd of peddlers who are consistently transversing their nation from one end to the other is of serious disadvantage to the nation, that serious misunderstanding and disputes frequently take place, as well as frauds, which are often practiced on the ignorant and uninformed of the nation. Therefore, it is agreed by the commissioner on the parts of the government and the chiefs of the nation that no more licenses shall be granted by the agents of the Chickasaw to entitle any persons or persons to trade or traffic merchandise in said nation. Oh my God. And that any persons or person whomsoever of the white people who shall bring goods and sell them in the nation, contrary to this article, shall forfeit the whole or his or their goods, 1/2 of the nation and the other half to the government of the United States. In all cases where this article is violated and the goods are taken or seized, they shall be delivered up to the agent who shall hear testimony and judge accordingly. All right, let me get a sip of water. Brother Sean, what does that mean to you? I'm motherfucking boiling. Go ahead, if you may.
I'm going to leave that to you.
All right, here's what the fuck it means to me. These bitches pretty much was issuing out licensing who can do trade or who can commence commerce. Because it doesn't sound to me that these motherfucking chiefs that allegedly and supposedly struck agreements with they bitch ass, it was twofold. The indigenous people who they're saying rolled up to this Chickasaw nation was like, get the fuck out of my face, blood. Bitch, you struck that agreement with them. I ain't struck a motherfucking thing. So they was doing their thing, still hustling, doing commerce. All right? And then white folks, the squatters or the indentured servants, was doing the same thing. Like, get the fuck up out of here. I ain't made no agreement about that. Since y'all done came and carved up the motherfucking land, so now we got to hustle and make a living, so bitch, we gonna sell too. So they put this stipulation in here to say, y'all don't get these people in order, we're going to start stripping you of money based on this agreement. So if you don't get these people under control with doing commerce without these licensing, and we don't give a fuck if they get a license because they're getting the licensing fraudulently because you're taking money out of our pocket and you're taking money out of paying back to the crown. So that's what it means to me. All right. This article was presented to the commissioner by the chiefs and warrior of Chickasaw Nation, and their particular solicitation embraced in this treaty. In testimony whereof the said commissioner and undersigned chiefs and warriors have set their hands and seals, done at the Chickasaw Council House this 20th day of September in the year of the Lord 1816. Andrew Jackson. All right. So again, it goes into all of these supposed chiefs and their marks. Now, interestingly enough, sucky now, James Colbert, they also said his X mark, which is interesting to me. Wait a minute, y'all. They better get the fuck out of my face with this bullshit. They have James Colbert, his X mark, because remember, we had a Colbert, George Colbert, who got the motherfucking hookup, all right, who I'm assuming was Andrew Jackson's boy. So James Colbert, I'm assuming, is some relation to George. So why do they have him down as being a part of the motherfucking chiefs? And then guess what? He's also a motherfucking interpreter.
Yeah. Most illiterate people back then just marked everything with an X. They just have a mark with an X. They knew that they didn't understand the language. They'd sit up and explain their version of it and then just tell them to just mark it there. Right. Oh, it's a good deal. It's a good deal. Mark there.
Right.
Or they did it for them. We don't really know if they actually signed out.
Right.
Are there witnesses listed on there?
Yeah, but all of the witnesses were tied back to their people. They do have witnesses. Yeah.
Right, and everybody did. So when all parties to a contract cease to exist, the contract ceased to exist. That's if it was valid to begin with.
In the first place, exactly. Which it don't appear at all, don't appear. It ain't valid. That contract is so fucked up. How you gonna sign some shit giving somebody your land? You live on the bitch. You work the motherfucking land. And then if they abandon it, it goes back to the corporation. Who fucking signs a deal like that?
The loser in the war.
Exactly. And they ain't never signed nothing, because if I done already lost, fuck you. Unless you done paid off some people to sign it, quote, quote, on my behalf, well, bitch, that ain't the same. I ain't agreed to none of that bullshit. I don't give a fuck that they signed that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
Remember earlier it said that them chiefs was getting broke off immediately with the best goods they had.
Sure did.
So, I mean, them and their bloodline was took care of, or allegedly supposed to be
and that was only and that was only temporary.
Yeah, but that's why they still try and cling to it. And like the brother said, you know, that was during common law. We up under maritime law now.
Mm-hmm.
So
they told. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
I mean, but all the paperwork is just fraudulent. Period.
Out the gate. It's fraudulent out the gate.
We were colonized.
It's fraudulent out the gate. Mm-hmm.
We were colonized, and they implemented
prisoners of war. System. Absolutely.
So, I mean, if these treaties and everything was supposed to be so much about peace, then that means we're not supposed to be at war, right?
Right.
And considering we're not at war, none of those contracts were valid to begin with, and we're not at war, why won't you just go home? You have no contracts to stand on.
Exactly.
You own nothing here. You can't pay your rent. Because you said in the treaty you just wanted to use the land and that they be compensated for use of the land.
Right.
Yeah. They have nothing to compensate anybody with.
No.
And to even pursue that avenue, thinking that they can compensate you, to them further validates their claim because you still asking them for something.
Exactly.
Something that only exists within their colonial system.
Exactly.
But I digress.
Exactly, which is created out of thin air, which has no real value. But they're very clear on what is really valuable. They know that the people in the land, and hence the land's resources, is what is of value. So, yeah, it pisses me off when I hear indigenous melanated people talk about getting paid and you leave the land out of it. Yeah, it pisses me off when I hear indigenous melanated people to the Americas talk about back-end paperwork to get paid, and the land is the furthest thing from your mind. So what makes you any different from the ancestors that participated in striking motherfucking deals for shiny objects? They already know how to deal with you. Give you the shiny objects, and then your bloodline is still in perpetual prisoners of war and slavery. Because you want the benefits of a Roman citizen. So as an indigenous melanated person, you're supposed to fucking know the difference. You're supposed to know what's of high value. It's you and the land. Even the squatters, the white folks, people want to say they were dumb. No, I think not. They learned real fucking quick what the true value was. It's the fucking land. So I'm sorry, sis. Go ahead on if you had something you wanted to put on.
Those traders that was coming there, who trade their goods. What I heard is that when they came there, they were making money, and the ones who signed the treaties with the Indians got a little pissed off and jealous about it. And what they did was they had to get licenses to come there. And even if they did have licenses, if they got mad at them, they confiscated their stuff and took half of it for themselves and gave the rest of it to the government. That's what I heard.
So say that again, sis. Say it again so I can follow it.
See, the traders, they used to start like in New York. They come in with goods, and then they'd go across the West selling on wagons. The kind of traders. So the people who made the treaties or who was in control over that place, of that particular land, when those people came there and they were selling and the Indians were buying, they got upset because they weren't getting a cut of it. So they started.
Who got upset? Okay, so that's why I keep getting lost. Because who is.
The ones that made the deal and the land that they said was theirs, that the Indians were working. The ones that
who is the they? Are they the indigenous Indians? Are the they?
No. The ones who stole the land from the indigenous folks. The ones who, for their ancestors, for themselves and all that kind of stuff. Those people. And this covert has
the European proprietors, okay.
Exactly. The European proprietors got upset because of these traveling salespeople would come on the land and sell the stuff to the Indians. This is what I got. And they wanted part of the deal. So if they didn't get part of the deal, they would confiscate the people's stuff and split it in half to them and half to the government. They would take the traveling salesman's stuff. That's what I heard.
I think I agree with you. The only part I disagree is that they were selling it to the Indians.
That's what I mean. They were selling it.
I'm just saying I disagree with they were selling it to the Indians. I think they were selling it to the quote settlers.
Probably that too.
They were selling because the Indians really their commerce was being controlled. So what monetary money did the Indians really have to be buying stuff? You see what I'm saying? So I think it was. Okay, I'll give you that. If they were trading furs, okay, I'll give you that. Okay, so both of them. So okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we basically said the same thing. The proprietors were pissed.
Yeah.
Because they were getting cut out. That's exactly what I said. They were pissed because they were getting their profit.
They weren't getting their profit.
Was being taken from them. That's just like the fuck they do today. All right, let's make this shit real simple. Let's put it in today's terms. Motherfucking cigarettes and alcohol. You can't go sell that shit on your own. You will get locked the fuck up. Unless you have a license to sell it. Right?
And the chokehold and killed.
Right. And the reason they're doing that, now they can say it's for public health and all that. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. It ain't for no motherfucking public health. It's because you are taking profit out of the corporation's pocket. So literally the proprietors, so in this case, the proprietors are the cigarette companies and the motherfucking alcohol manufacturers and the corporation, the U.S. corporation.
Right.
Because they pay taxes on that shit.
Exactly.
So it's the same motherfucking hustle. And all of this commerce is taking place on the indigenous people's land, and everybody getting a motherfucking cut. Not only are they getting a cut on their falsified Babylonian Romanistic monetary system, they also done carved up your fucking land, kicking up comfortably, fucking doing it. And what are you worried about? You worried about some paperwork to get cut in on it? Or should you be worried about, bruh, get the fuck off my shit, period. Take that shit back over to Europe or wherever the fuck you came from. So I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
So they're doing what they're doing now is cheating each other. And so that's what the government is at right now. I'm telling off on you. I'm going to do you in. You can't. You got to give me what I deserve. You know, this is the same kind of cutthroat stuff they're doing now.
Right. Now, I'm going to put y'all up on game and shout out to Sis Cheryl. She put this on her Facebook page, but I immediately picked it up last night when Press Trump card said, when he came on the motherfucking breaking news and said what he said, and the thing that stood out the most to me, when he banned European travel, when he said except the UK, I said, yeah, goddammit, you ain't finna ban the UK. Because the corporation still got to kick back the fuck up to the UK. Because what did King Charles say in that Georgia charter? And I'm paraphrasing, y'all. Now, of course, the brother, and yes, he was a melanated man. Of course, the brother didn't say it like I'm about to ghetto-fy it. I don't give a fuck what you do. You got to remix this shit up. Change it up. Change the seals. I don't give a fuck about none of that. But you're going to give my cut to me and mine forever, forever, and forever, ever, ever. That's why Trump card said the rest of the Europe, y'all bitch ass can't come over here. Don't even motherfucking think about it. Except the UK. It's the same motherfucking thing.
Yeah, that's why we have to do
the
everything.
Exact same thing.
We have to do what they're wearing, what they went out, what they look like. How
I don't have to do, but okay.
That's what. This is what they always do on the news. They just take over the news with everything that they do.
Exactly. How they get married, what babies they have, and who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck?
I know I don't. But now you should enter and understand why they keep talking about it, because that corporation is still tied to the crown.
They are the corporation.
Bottom line, absolutely, they are the corporation. They are the parent corporation. The motherfucking grandparent. The U.S. Corp is the motherfucking child.
Mm-hmm. Or speaking of the church, they're going to be laid low with this coronavirus too, because people are going to be afraid to go to church.
They don't give a fuck.
Somebody going to have to pay them tithes.
They don't give a fuck. They getting money hand over fist.
Yeah, our taxes.
Because all of it rolls back up to them. They get their motherfucking cut anyway.
Right.
Do you know the Catholic Church is the largest, quote, quote, landowner on the motherfucking planet?
Yep.
On the motherfucking planet.
I think they take 60%.
They on lockdown, though.
Yeah,
they are on lockdown. Yeah, they are on lockdown. And again, it's more than about, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
It was mass arrests made there also.
Really?
Well.
And behind all that pedophilia and that human trafficking.
Right. And that very well may be, but I say they should have been cleaned up this shit. So ain't no need you trying to arrest motherfuckers now. All of y'all asses are going to be dealt with. So stand out and you tell that motherfucking plasma all of that. Why you arresting such and so, all that. You tell the motherfucking plasma that. I personally don't even want to hear it. Because at the end of the day, they are still misusing, disrespecting the planet. And that's got to be answered for. It will be answered for. It is being answered for. So they can dry snitch on each other all the fuck they want to try to, quote, quote, redeem themselves. Go tell it to Mama Earth. I fucking personally don't want to hear it. All right. So with that said, next week we are going to finally conclude Andrew Jackson. I want to get the sister Nancy Eisenberg's final motherfucking take on his stinking ass. Sis, you have any last words for the family? Uh-oh. Brother Sean, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Sis, are you still there? If so, you're on mute and we don't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I try to keep quiet.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, no, I respect that. Thank you for that. No worries.
So what I said, we're in a very important time of the planet right now. It's getting back to center and it's correcting itself. And